Good morning, my dear friend. The dawn has barely touched the horizon, and the world still holds its breath. The sky is brushed with soft gold. The air carries the hush of promise. And somewhere, a bird rehearses the first song of the day. This is the hour before everything begins, the sacred moment between darkness and light. When the soul can still hear the whisper of heaven. Perhaps you woke up today with the weight of yesterday still heavy on your chest. Maybe you stared at the ceiling before the alarm sounded, thinking of what you lost or what you fear might never return. Somewhere deep inside, you are holding a quiet ache, the kind that does not speak in words but lingers in the pulse. You have smiled through days when your heart felt like breaking. You have walked through rooms where laughter felt foreign. You have whispered, "How long, Lord?" And the silence felt endless. I once knew someone like you, a friend who faced mornings with trembling hands. The world had taken much from her. Security, certainty, someone she loved deeply. Each sunrise mocked her pain. She said it felt like the light was too bright for a heart that was still bleeding. But one morning, she chose differently. Instead of reaching for her phone or covering her head with the pillow, she whispered a few simple words. "Thank you for another breath." That whisper became a seed. Day after day, it grew roots, first fragile, then steady. Gratitude began to break through grief, like green shoots through cracked soil. She did not become perfect. She became alive again. Maybe that is where you are right now, standing at the edge between despair and renewal. The good news is, you do not have to cross it alone. The same light that split the night for her is rising for you, too. Every sunrise is an invitation to believe again, to breathe again, to remember that mercy still arrives on schedule. This is where our journey begins, not in a place of strength, but of surrender. Morning prayer is not about pretending life is flawless. It is about meeting the one who remains faithful, even when everything else fades. It is about letting your soul remember what your mind forgets, that love still reigns, that grace still holds, and that even broken hearts can sing. Prayer is more than ritual. It is relationship. It is not words recited to the air, but a dialogue with the Creator who bends close enough to hear your sighs. In prayer, silence becomes sacred, and every tear is translated into language heaven understands. Through prayer, fear loosens its grip, hope rises quietly, and peace takes root in places worry once ruled. So wherever you are this morning, whether the room is filled with sunlight or shadow, pause. Breathe slowly. Let this be the moment your heart turns toward something greater than the pain. You do not need perfect words. You just need a willing soul. Open your heart to the stillness, to the presence that never left. The morning has arrived, and with it, a chance to begin again. Come, my dear friend, step into this sacred quiet. Let gratitude awaken what sorrow tried to silence. Let faith light the path where fear once walked. This is your invitation not to escape the world, but to walk through it renewed. The day is waiting, and so is grace. Let us begin the conversation that turns dawn into communion, and ordinary mornings into holy ground. Dear Heavenly Father, the world is quiet now, resting between darkness and full light. The air still feels like night, but the first gold of morning touches the edge of the sky. And I sense your presence before I even open my eyes. My heart stirs slowly, hesitant to face what waits beyond the door. Yet here in this stillness, I know I am not alone. You are already here, steady as breath, gentle as dawn. Before I speak, you know the weight that presses against my chest, the thoughts that wake before I do, the questions I carry from yesterday. You meet me here not as a distant king, but as the one who keeps my soul alive. I come to you with no grand words, only the simple honesty of this morning. I feel the ache of unfinished things, the fatigue of fighting battles that seem invisible, the quiet loneliness that sometimes lingers even among people. Yet within that ache, I also feel a pulse of gratitude, faint but real, like the heartbeat of hope refusing to die. Thank you for letting me wake once more. Thank you for the rhythm of breathing that reminds me I still belong to life. Thank you for the light that returns even when I have not earned it. Today, I want my soul to rise before my body does. I want my heart to remember before my mind starts racing. The world will ask me to hurry, to perform, to prove. But here in this moment I ask you to teach me to begin differently. Help me to start this day not from fear or duty, but from blessing. Let my first thought not be of what is missing, but of what remains. Let me see this new day not as another demand to survive, but as a chance to begin again with you. Father, some mornings feel heavy, like lifting the sun with my own hands. My faith feels small, and my energy runs thin. But even in that smallness, you are near. You do not despise weak prayers or trembling voices. You listen to sighs that never form into sentences. You understand tears better than words. So I bring you my wariness, my confusion, my hesitant gratitude. Receive them as offerings, not because they are perfect, but because they are true. As the light grows stronger outside, let it also grow within me. Illuminate the corners I keep hidden, the fears that whisper I am not enough, the memories that still sting, the dreams I am afraid to want again. Shine into them gently, not to expose me to shame, but to awaken me to freedom. Teach me to open my eyes to grace, to see mercy in the smallest things, the warmth of water on my hands, the scent of coffee, the sound of morning birds that have never doubted the dawn. Let my breath today become a quiet act of worship, each inhale a receiving of your love, each exhale a release of my worry. Slow me down enough to notice the sacred woven into ordinary hours when my mind begins to race ahead. Call me back with the sound of stillness. Whisper to me that I do not need to have all the answers before I take the first step. You have already gone before me into this day. I surrender to your rhythm, not the rhythm of the world. The world begins with noise, but you begin with peace. The world starts with striving, but you start with grace. Let me begin with you. Let my heart echo the psalmist who said, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name." May that be the song of my inner life before a single word leaves my lips. When fear tries to visit me this morning, remind me that I have a choice to welcome faith instead. When doubt whispers that nothing will change, remind me that sunrise itself is proof of new beginnings. When sorrow tries to reclaim its room in my heart, remind me that joy still has a key. I do not ask you to erase the struggles that shape me, but to teach me to meet them with courage and gentleness. Father, draw near to those who also wake with heaviness, the unseen ones who hide their pain behind polite smiles, the weary who feel unseen by heaven. Wrap them in the same quiet mercy that covers me now. Let this morning be wide enough to hold every broken heart under the same light. Let your peace travel farther than my words can reach, touching corners of the world still waiting for hope. Help me to treat this day as sacred ground. Help me to walk slower, speak kinder, listen deeper. Let me notice the faces that cross my path as reminders that love still moves through the world. Give me courage to forgive, patience to endure, and humility to learn. Keep my heart soft when it would rather turn to stone. Keep my spirit tender when disappointment tries to harden it. I want to live this morning with open hands, not clenched fists. I want to carry gratitude like a candle through every hallway. Every conversation, every shadow. Let light spill from me, not because I am flawless, but because I am willing. Let my small gestures today become reflections of a greater kindness. Let my smile be an answer to someone's silent prayer. If I forget you in the noise of the day, call me back in whispers. If I grow anxious, remind me to return to breath. If I lose patience, teach me to start over again without shame. You never tire of new beginnings, and neither will I. Each moment is another chance to choose peace, another invitation to trust that your mercy is not rationed. Father, as this morning unfolds, let my soul remain awake even when my body tires. Keep me aware that every second belongs to you. May gratitude become my first language and trust my second. May my thoughts lean toward hope, and my words create warmth. And when the sun fully rises and life demands my attention, let this stillness remain hidden within me, a quiet anchor beneath the waves of the day, a reminder that I am yours, and that this moment, right now, is holy. Father, as the first warmth of daylight stretches across the horizon, my eyes open to the quiet unfolding of the world. The stillness of the early hour holds me, and I remember the promise whispered in the calm, that every sunrise is a gentle command to look up again. Yesterday's shadows may still linger at the edges of my heart, but this morning you invite me to raise my gaze, to find you not in the heaviness of what has been, but in the beauty of what is becoming. I sense the echo of your presence in the slow drift of light across my room, a reminder that I was never meant to live with my head bowed to the ground. Lord, my thoughts often fall downward. They cling to worries like dust to my shoes. I see what went wrong, what might fail, what could hurt. Yet, in this new hour, you call me gently upward. You remind me that faith is not blind optimism, but the courage to lift my eyes towards something greater than the weight of circumstance. The sky above me stretches wide, patient and unhurried, painted with a grace that cannot be earned. Each hue of dawn feels like a personal message from heaven, quiet yet unshakable, saying, "Look up, for light is here." I want to live from that posture, Lord, from a lifted gaze, not a lowered spirit. I want my soul to remember the height of your love when the ground beneath me trembles. So, I let my mind rise with the light, above the clutter of fears and the noise of expectation. When I lift my eyes, the day changes shape. What once felt impossible becomes a place where possibility breathes. What once looked ordinary begins to shimmer with hidden mercy. You teach me that perspective is the birthplace of peace, that trust begins where sight ends. God, sometimes it feels easier to stay small, to fold into myself, to avoid the risk of hope, but you meet me in that hesitation. You do not scold me for my slowness. You simply wait, like the horizon waiting for the sun to rise fully. You are patient with my doubt, kind with my forgetfulness. Even when I look away, you remain. You are steady as the morning sky. And when I remember to lift my eyes, I find that you were never far. As I stand by the window and watch the light climb higher, I begin to see how everything in creation mirrors this act of looking up. The trees stretch toward you without apology. The birds lift their wings before they sing. Even the flowers turn their faces to follow the warmth. Let me learn from them, Lord. Let me rise without fear, sing before I see results, and reach toward you with quiet confidence. Teach my heart to respond like nature does to your steady rhythm of renewal, to the silent music of trust. When I look up, I remember who you are. You are not only the maker of mornings, but the keeper of my peace. You are the one who sees beyond my confusion, who works in silence while I sleep. When I lift my eyes, I remember that I am seen. In that gaze exchanged between heaven and earth, something sacred happens. Worry loosens its grip. Gratitude begins to breathe. I no longer stand as one abandoned, but as one held. Father, let this upward look shape my entire day. When I walk through the noise of tasks and deadlines, keep my spirit tilted toward you. When my hands grow busy, let my heart stay lifted. When I face conflict or misunderstanding, remind me to pause and look up instead of looking down in defeat. Looking up is not escape, it is alignment. It reminds me that my help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, and that no shadow can survive where your light reigns. There are moments, God, when the world below feels louder than the heaven above. News, worries, voices all pulling my attention downward. In those moments, give me the grace to stop and breathe your name. Let that breath become the bridge between chaos and calm. Let my heart rise even if my body cannot. Let my faith become the quiet defiance that refuses to bow to despair. You know how easily I forget, Lord. How quickly I return to staring at the dust, counting failures instead of blessings. But each morning, you write the same message in the sky. Hope still stands. The light always returns. The story is not over. So I choose today to live as one who believes that truth. I choose to look up, not because the view has changed, but because my trust has. I choose to see you before I see my problems. I choose to bless your name, even when answers have not arrived. Let my lifted eyes become my prayer today, a wordless worship that reaches higher than words can go. When others see me, let them notice the peace that comes from looking upward. Let them ask why my steps seem lighter, and may my life quietly answer, because I have seen the sky, because I know who holds it. Let my gaze remind them that hope is not fragile, that even weary souls can find strength in looking beyond what is near. Father, keep me faithful in this simple act. Let me not forget that gratitude grows where the eyes dwell on grace. Let my heart follow the direction of my gaze, always higher, always toward you. Lift my attention from what drains me to what sustains me. Replace the weight of worry with the wonder of worship. Keep me mindful that every upward glance is an act of trust. Every pause to notice beauty is a small resurrection. And as the day unfolds, when the sunlight becomes stronger and the noise of the world returns, let this quiet beginning remain within me. Let my soul remember the feeling of the first light, the moment I chose to look up, the peace that came not from understanding everything, but from seeing you in everything. May my eyes stay lifted even when clouds gather, for the light that guided me this morning still burns above them, constant and kind. And as I walk into whatever waits, I carry this truth in silence, that every act of looking up brings heaven a little closer to earth. Lord, as my eyes lift towards you, and the morning grows brighter, a quiet awareness settles inside me. The light that fills the sky begins to stir something deeper, a memory, a tenderness that whispers. Remember, the day ahead still waits with its lists and its noise. But for a moment, time feels kind enough to pause. I sense you calling me not to run forward too quickly, but to look back with gratitude, to remember what you have already done, and to let those memories become strength for what is yet to come. Father, I confess how easily I forget. My mind keeps record of what hurts longer than it remembers what heals. My thoughts return to losses faster than they revisit miracles. Yet you have never failed me, even in the seasons that felt silent. Your fingerprints were on everything, guiding, holding, arranging what I could not see. So I begin this day with remembrance, not the heavy remembering that reopens wounds, but the sacred remembering that restores faith. I think of moments when fear had wrapped itself around my breath, and somehow peace still found me. I think of nights when tears blurred my vision, and yet morning came, gentle and sure, washing pain with light. I remember the kindness that arrived through unexpected hands, the words that reached me when I felt unseen, the provisions that came just before despair could take root. Each of these memories is a stone of testimony, building an altar in the landscape of my heart. They remind me that you are not a story I once believed in. You are the steady thread that keeps writing mine. Lord, help me to remember the ordinary blessings that often slip past unnoticed: the food on my table, the warmth of shelter, the voices that speak love into my day. Help me not to treat daily mercies as small simply because they come often. The sun that rises is no less miraculous for doing so faithfully. The breath in my lungs is no less holy for repeating itself. Gratitude, when remembered, becomes the song that keeps my soul alive. When my mind wanders toward worry, teach it to wander instead toward memory. Let recollection become resistance. Let gratitude be the anchor that holds me when fear whispers, "You are alone." Remind me that the same God who carried me yesterday will not abandon me today. You have been my refuge in valleys, my shelter in storms, my laughter after sorrow. I have seen your goodness with my own eyes. And even when my heart doubts, my history with you testifies louder than my fear. God, you have not only given blessings, you have transformed pain into purpose. There were doors that closed, and at the time I thought they were punishment. But now I see they were protection. There were detours that frustrated me, but they led to places I never would have found on my own. There were losses that stripped me of comfort, but made room for deeper trust. You waste nothing, not even tears, not even silence. When I remember this, my heart grows still again. Let memory become my worship today. Not nostalgia, but recognition. Not longing for what was, but honoring what has been. You have been faithful through seasons I thought would undo me. You were present when I did not have words to call for help. You were patient when I was stubborn, tender when I was brittle, merciful when I was ashamed. I remember your forgiveness that washed over me when guilt seemed endless. I remember the peace that came after surrender, soft as a tide returning to shore. These are not distant recollections. They are living proofs of grace. Father, sometimes I try to measure your goodness by what I can see right now, forgetting that your faithfulness stretches across years, not minutes. You are weaving something vast, and remembrance allows me to glimpse the pattern. Every answered prayer, every closed door, every quiet provision is a thread in that tapestry. When I trace them with my heart, I realize I am surrounded by evidence of love. Gratitude no longer feels like an emotion. It becomes a discipline, a daily returning to truth. Today I choose to live from that truth. I choose to let my memory speak louder than my mood. When my confidence falters, I will remember the paths you straighten for me. When I feel unseen, I will recall the times you noticed even my size. When I face new uncertainty, I will remember how you have never left a promise unfinished. My story is full of your fingerprints, and that is reason enough to keep walking in peace. Lord, let this remembering not end with me. Help me speak it aloud, to tell of your goodness not as theory, but as witness. Let my gratitude ripple outward to my family, my friends, the stranger who crosses my path. Let my thankfulness be contagious, a quiet light that reminds others to look back and find you in their own histories. Teach me to testify without pride, to tell my story only to magnify yours. The world is weary with complaint. Let my voice carry something different, a melody of remembrance that turns hearts toward hope. I thank you, God, for being constant when everything else changed. I thank you for the mercy that found me long before I understood its name. I thank you for the lessons hidden inside hardship, for the patience that carried me when I could not stand on my own. I thank you for healing that arrived slowly but surely, for joy that returned after long silence. I thank you that even now, as I whisper these words, you are working in ways I cannot yet see. As morning deepens into full light, let this remembering stay alive within me. Let it steady my thoughts and soften my tone. Let it make me gentler with others, knowing we all carry stories of struggle and grace intertwined. Let it guard me from bitterness and from forgetting. And when the day grows noisy and memory begins to fade beneath responsibility, call me back again with that same soft whisper, remember. Remind me that gratitude is not a reaction to good moments, but a way of seeing all moments through the lens of your goodness. And so I begin this day grounded in remembrance, aware that every breath is a continuation of mercy, every step another verse in a long hymn of faithfulness. I look ahead with calm, because I have looked back with wonder. I carry forward what cannot be lost, the knowledge that you have been with me in every place I have stood. This is my confidence, my quiet anthem beneath the noise of life, that memory and hope walk hand in hand, and that the one who has always been faithful will be faithful still. Father, as I remember your goodness, another awareness rises quietly within me. Gratitude has opened a door, and behind it waits honesty. The more I recall your mercy, the more I see how deeply I need it again. The light of morning that seemed so gentle now reveals the corners of my heart that still carry dust. I do not come to you with shame, but with recognition. To be known by you is both comfort and cleansing. You see what I hide even from myself, yet you never turn away. In your presence, nothing is too dark to be redeemed. Lord, I ask you to wash me fresh this morning, not because I have lost your love, but because I long to feel the nearness that sin and worry often blur. There are places inside me that still cling to pride, resentment, impatience. Sometimes I carry hurt from others like a secret weapon, pretending I am fine while the bitterness burns beneath. Sometimes I measure my worth by the approval of those around me and forget that I am already yours. These quiet poisons grow unnoticed until they harden my spirit. But you, God, are the healer of hidden things. You cleanse not just what can be seen, but what festers in silence. As I sit in this stillness, I let your spirit move like water through me. Wash away the residue of yesterday's failures, the guilt that whispers unkind stories in my mind. Rinse off the self-criticism that disguises itself as humility. Scrub from my thoughts the layers of fear that keep me from trusting you fully. I open my hands, unclench my heart, and let the flow of your grace do what discipline cannot. For no rule, no resolve, no human effort can purify a soul the way your mercy does. Father, teach me what true cleansing feels like, not punishment, but renewal, not condemnation, but release. When I confess, remind me that I am not presenting a list of shame, but surrendering burdens I was never meant to carry. Forgiveness is not a lecture, it is a rescue. It is the moment when the weight of self-reproach falls, and the soul can breathe again. I breathe deeply now, trusting that each breath draws in your compassion and exhales what is no longer needed. Sometimes I try to clean my own heart, scrubbing harder with guilt, believing that enough regret might make me worthy again. But you do not ask for perfection. You ask for openness. You do not wait until I am spotless to draw near. You come close first, and your closeness is what begins the cleansing. You kneel beside the mess rather than standing above it. You remind me that holiness begins with being held. God, I remember how you once stooped to wash the feet of those who followed you. Dust and road stains did not offend you. They moved you to compassion. Let that same tenderness reach me now. Wash away the calluses that life has built around my heart. Make me sensitive again to goodness, quick to forgive, eager to love. Let this washing not be a single act, but a rhythm, a way of living open to correction, eager for purity, free from pretense. In this quiet hour, I name the things that need cleansing, the harsh word I spoke too quickly, the thought I entertained too long, the envy that disguised itself as ambition, the small compromises that dull my conscience. I do not name them to dwell on failure, but to acknowledge my need for grace. Each confession becomes a release, a stone lifted from my chest. With every acknowledgement, the air feels clearer, and my heart lighter. Lord, I ask not only for forgiveness, but for transformation. Wash not just my actions, but my desires. Cleanse the motives behind my kindness, the pride beneath my service. Purify the places where I act from fear of rejection, rather than from love. Renew the secret intentions that no one sees but you. Let every part of me reflect integrity, even in silence. When my words sound generous, but my thoughts are harsh, convict me gently. When I give with the hope of being noticed, remind me that you already see. Let truth and grace dwell together within me until they shape one whole heart. I know cleansing is not always comfortable. It stings when the water touches wounds. Yet even that pain carries purpose. Better the sting of healing than the numbness of denial. Better the light that exposes than the darkness that hides. So I choose the cleansing light. I open every window of my soul and let your spirit sweep through. Let nothing stale remain. Let no bitterness find shelter. Let the fragrance of newness fill what was once stale with regret. Father, I also ask that you teach me to extend this cleansing outward as you forgive me. Help me to forgive others. Let mercy move through me like a current that refuses to stop with myself. Wash my words before they leave my mouth, so that they do not carry the residue of anger. Purify my reactions before they harden into resentment. May those who meet me today encounter the peace of someone freshly washed in grace, not the heaviness of someone still clinging to old grievances. There is a quiet joy in being clean before you. It is not loud or proud. It is steady and peaceful. It is the freedom of not hiding anymore, the calm of knowing I am seen and still loved. The guilt that once echoed in me grows faint, replaced by gratitude. Even the memory of mistakes becomes a reminder of mercy. What once condemned me now testifies of redemption. Lord, let this cleansing continue as the day unfolds. When new dust gathers, let me return to you quickly. When I stumble, let confession be my reflex, not my last resort. Keep my conscience tender. not fragile. Keep my heart pure, not naive. Guard me from pride disguised as strength and despair, disguised as humility. Help me live as one who has been made new, not as one trying to earn renewal. And as the morning light brightens the earth outside, let the same brightness take root within me. Let the waters of your grace keep flowing, carrying away what no longer belongs, leaving behind the clarity of peace. May this cleansed heart become a vessel ready for compassion, ready to serve, ready to love without condition. The day ahead will bring noise and need, challenge and choice, but within me, may this inner stillness remain the steady rhythm of a heart washed clean, reflecting the quiet purity of your presence. Father, as my heart rests clean in your mercy, I feel the quiet readiness that follows surrender. The weight has been lifted, the air feels lighter, and something in me begins to stretch toward what is next. Cleansing is never the end, it is the beginning of being clothed again. I stand before you now, unburdened but not yet covered, aware of how easily the chill of fear or pride could slip back in if I walk into this day unguarded. Dress me, Lord, not with fabric but with character. Let the first garment I wear be the one you weave from grace. God, you know how exposed the soul feels after confession. Stripped of pretense, bare before truth, it stands trembling and free. In this holy vulnerability, I ask you to clothe me in what endures when my strength does not. Wrap me first in compassion, soft enough to feel the pain of others without losing peace. Let kindness be the fabric that moves with every gesture. Fitting gently against the skin of the world, fasten patience around my shoulders like a warm coat against the cold wind of frustration. Bind humility at my waist so that I walk gently among people, remembering that all are beloved, not just those who think or live like me. Lord, I cannot dress myself in these virtues without you. My hands reach for them, but they slip through my grasp unless your spirit guides me. So I wait in this stillness and imagine you as the tailor of my soul, measuring me not by size or status, but by sincerity. You take what is torn and make it whole. You hem the edges of my weakness with mercy. You stitch courage where fear once lived. Every thread of grace you place upon me is a reminder that I am not who I was yesterday. Father, there are garments I once wore that no longer fit: the robe of self-pity, the coat of complaint, the heavy armor of defensiveness. They used to feel necessary, protection against disappointment or rejection. But now I see how they only kept love from reaching me. Teach me to leave them folded at your feet. Let me not return to them out of habit when life presses hard. Instead, help me reach for the new robe of trust, the mantle of gentleness, the tunic of joy that cannot be taken by circumstance. God, clothe my mind first, for that is where the day begins. Wrap my thoughts in clarity and peace. Guard them from the intrusion of fear, from the echo of old doubts. Let every idea that forms be filtered through love before it becomes a word or action. Cover my eyes with compassion so that when I look at others, I see not threat or competition, but stories worth understanding. Dress my ears with discernment, that I may listen beyond noise and catch the tone of hearts that are hurting. Then, Lord, clothe my mouth. Let my words today be garments of comfort, not weapons of pride. May they carry warmth into cold conversations, hope into weary hearts. Let me speak truth, but always draped in grace. If silence will heal more than speech, teach me to wear quietness as elegance. Let no harsh syllable stain the robe you have placed on me. Father, clothe my hands next. May they become extensions of your kindness, quick to help, gentle to heal, open to give. Let every task I touch be done with intention and care, whether small or seen by none. Cover my hands so they do not grasp for control or cling to resentment. Instead, let them learn the rhythm of release, giving freely, serving quietly, loving without calculation. Wrap my feet as well, Lord, in the readiness of peace. Wherever I go today, let my steps carry gentleness. Let me walk away from conflict instead of feeding it. Guide me to paths where my presence brings calm rather than noise. May I tread softly upon the hearts of others, never crushing what is tender or bruised. Let my journey today leave behind not footprints of pride, but traces of kindness. There is also an armor, Father, that you call me to wear, not of iron, but of light. Belt me with truth that holds me steady when deception surrounds. Place upon me the breastplate of righteousness, not self-righteousness, that guards what you have made clean within me. Let faith be the shield I lift when fear throws its arrows, and salvation the helmet that keeps my mind secure in hope. Let the Spirit's word be the sword that divides lies from truth, not to wound, but to protect. I will not fear the battles ahead if I am dressed in your strength rather than my own. Lord, as I stand before the mirror of your word, I see how every layer you give has purpose. Compassion warms. Humility softens. Patience protects. Peace steadies. Each piece fits perfectly when my heart stays close to you. But when distance grows, the garments begin to slip. So remind me often throughout the day to adjust, to realign, to remember who dressed me this morning. When anger rises, help me tighten the belt of truth. When exhaustion tempts me to give up kindness, remind me of the gentle robe of grace I wear. Father, I also ask that you clothe me with the joy, not the loud kind that demands attention, but the quiet radiance that speaks of assurance. Let joy settle like sunlight on my shoulders, a warmth that others can feel even if they do not know its source. Let it brighten my countenance and soften my tone. Let it be the fragrance that follows me into rooms, subtle yet unmistakable. There will be moments today when the world tries to strip these garments away, when criticism tears at patience, when disappointment stains gratitude, when fear unravels faith. In those moments, teach me to return inward to where you clothed me first. Let me remember that grace cannot be taken by circumstance, because its threads are eternal. What you have woven into my spirit, no power on earth can destroy. And so, Lord, I step into this day robed in what you provide. I do not need to appear strong, impressive, or perfect. I only need to wear what reflects you. May people see not the fabric of achievement, but the texture of love. May they feel, even without words, that I walk covered by something sacred, something that cannot be bought or earned, only given. As the sun rises higher and the world begins to stir, I will move forward dressed in compassion, patience, humility, and joy. These are the garments that prepare me for whatever awaits. Let me guard them well, not with fear but with gratitude. For every virtue you clothe me in is both armor and invitation, protection from what harms, and openness to what heals. And as I go, may my life itself become a reflection of divine beauty, a soul clothed in grace, walking through an ordinary day, quietly carrying the warmth of heaven into every hour. Father, clothed now in the garments of grace you have given me, I stand at the doorway of this new day. The morning feels wide and full, like a blank page awaiting words yet unwritten. I can almost sense the quiet hum of possibilities beneath the surface of the hours ahead. Yet with that promise comes the pull of pressure, the lists, the deadlines, the countless demands that compete for attention. Before I step into the rhythm of the world, I want to step into yours. Let me not rush into movement before finding alignment in your presence. Lord, you are not a God of chaos. The heavens move by your command. The tides follow their appointed time, and the stars keep their faithful course. Creation itself is a song of perfect order, each note placed where it belongs. If you care enough to direct the rhythm of the universe, then surely you care to order the hours of my life. Teach me to trust that structure is not confinement, but care. When you organize my path, you are not restricting my freedom. You are protecting my peace. God, I often fill my schedule with what seems urgent and neglect what is truly important. I chase noise disguised as purpose. I confuse productivity with meaning. But you see through the illusion. You remind me that the highest efficiency is not in doing more, but in doing what matters. So before I begin, I lay my plans before you like a map unfolded on a table. Some routes feel familiar. Others are uncertain. I invite you to draw on this map with your wisdom. Erase what distracts. Circle what must be done, and mark the paths where my presence will bring life rather than exhaustion. Father, help me to move through this day with intention. Let each task become an offering rather than an obligation. Whether I write, speak, serve, or listen, may it all flow from love instead of fear. Guard me from the trap of measuring my worth by the number of things completed. Let me find peace not in finishing everything, but in knowing I have walked in step with you. I do not want to end this day drained from striving. I want to end it satisfied from obedience. When interruptions come, and they will teach me to see them not as disruptions, but as divine appointments. Perhaps the phone call that delays my plan will be someone's answered prayer. Perhaps the detour that frustrates me will save me from harm or lead me to blessing. Help me surrender my obsession with control. Let my flexibility be faith in motion. You are the keeper of time, and nothing that happens within it escapes your design. Lord, reorder my priorities where they have drifted. Where ambition has pushed out compassion, rearrange the balance. Where worry has crowded out worship, restore the space. Where fear of failure has replaced trust, shift my focus back to you. I want my schedule to look less like a checklist and more like a conversation ongoing, alive, filled with listening as much as doing. Remind me that rest is not laziness, but obedience. That stillness is not waste, but worship. Father, in the hours ahead there will be choices to make, some small and unnoticed, others heavy with consequence. In each decision, let wisdom whisper before impulse shouts. Slow me down enough to ask, is this from you? Does this lead to peace or pressure? When the answer is unclear, teach me to wait rather than force the door. And when you open the way, give me courage to walk through it without hesitation. I want every movement today to be guided by peace, not panic. God, I know the world values speed, but you value depth. So let me move deliberately, attentive to your rhythm. Let me start my day not with the anxious click of a clock, but with the steady pulse of your grace. Keep me aware that every moment can become sacred when surrendered, even the ordinary tasks, the emails, the errands, the quiet responsibilities can become altars of worship if done in love. There are people I will meet today whose lives will brush against mine for only seconds. I may not remember their names, but you know their stories. Help me to bring order even into those brief encounters. A smile that steadies someone's heart. A word that realigns another's perspective. A pause that honors their humanity. Let my presence carry the quiet discipline of peace. The assurance of a life guided rather than scattered. Father, teach me to say no when I must, without guilt, and yes when it leads to purpose. Grant me discernment to recognize which opportunities are doors opened by you and which are distractions painted to look holy. Keep me from chasing approval. Let my ambition be anchored in calling, not applause. When I begin to drift into comparison, remind me that my assignment has its own divine timing. The order you design for my life will never mirror another's. And that is not failure, it is freedom. As I prepare to step into the tasks of the day, I ask for strength not to rush, but to remain steady. When tension rises, let patience set the pace. When temptation whispers shortcuts, let integrity hold me in place. When weariness threatens focus, let gratitude reawaken purpose. Remind me that I am not racing against others, but walking with you. Each moment rightly ordered becomes a step closer to peace. Lord, I give you not just the grand plans, but the small spaces between them. The commute, the pauses, the waiting rooms, the lines that stretch too long. Fill those in between moments with presence. Let them become places of prayer, not frustration. Even silence can be purposeful when you are in it. By nightfall, the world will measure success by how much was achieved, but I ask for a different metric. Alignment. If I have moved with your rhythm, loved with sincerity, and listened more than I demanded, that will be enough. Let my peace tonight be the proof that my day was ordered by your hand. Father, I feel the quiet confidence that comes from placing this day entirely in your care. It is not mine to control, only to live faithfully. The sunrise reminds me that time itself is a gift, unfolding one breath at a time. So I release my grasp on outcomes and choose trust instead. You are already present in the next hour, already working in the unseen, already weaving the threads I will not notice until later. And as I step forward into the living hours, let my pace reflect the order you have given my soul. Let my speech carry rhythm, my actions flow with grace, and my heart stay centered no matter how the day unfolds. For in every moment rightly ordered, I find you again steady, guiding, patient, and kind, shaping time itself into a quiet harmony of purpose and peace. Lord, as this day takes shape beneath the rhythm of your order, I feel the quiet truth rising once more. Structure alone is not enough. Even the best plan cannot shield me from the weight of my own limits. My body grows tired, my mind stumbles, my heart trembles in the face of what I cannot control. I wish strength came naturally, that confidence would stay constant, but I know myself too well. There are moments when courage thins like paper, when faith flickers small as a candle caught in wind. And yet, here I am, still held by grace. The weakness that once shamed me now becomes the doorway where your power enters. Father, teach me not to despise my frailty. You never asked me to be flawless. You only asked me to be honest, to admit when I cannot, to lean when I falter, to trust when I am empty, when I reach the edge of my ability. That is where you begin. I have spent so much of life pretending to be strong, covering cracks with noise, hiding fatigue behind performance. But pretending is exhausting, and truth is lighter. You never designed me to carry the world, only to carry faith. So I lay down the armor of self-sufficiency, and ask you to be my strength in the quiet center of my weakness. Lord, your word says that power is made perfect in weakness. I think I finally understand what that means. It is not about celebrating pain, but discovering purpose within it. It is knowing that cracks are not shameful. They are the openings through which light escapes. When my pride dissolves, I become transparent enough for your glory to shine through. I remember the times when I felt completely undone, convinced that I had nothing left to give, and yet somehow I kept breathing, kept standing, kept loving. Those moments were not my triumph. They were yours. You were the unseen strength beneath every trembling yes. God, help me to stop measuring myself by the standards of strength that the world admires. The world rewards control, perfection, power, but you delight in surrender, humility, reliance. Teach me to see weakness not as failure, but as invitation and open space where you can dwell. Let my limits remind me of your limitlessness. Let my fatigue remind me to rest in your steady hands. Let my tears remind me that I am human, and that being human is not a flaw, but a miracle. You breathed your own image into this fragile frame. How could frailty not also be sacred? Father, when I wake and already feel weary, whisper that it is okay to begin slowly. When I fail at something small and shame tries to grow, remind me that grace does not keep score. When fear of disappointing others tightens my chest, show me again that my worth does not depend on performance. You are not waiting for perfection. You are waiting for honesty. You do not demand strength. You provide it. You do not scold the trembling heart. You steady it. You are the quiet voice saying, "My grace is enough for you," even when every other voice demands more. Lord, let me learn the rhythm of leaning. When the load feels too heavy, teach me not to push harder, but to press closer to you. Let prayer become my resting place, not my last resort. Let dependence become my dignity, not my disgrace. When pride whispers that I must handle everything alone, silence it with the reminder that even Jesus wept, even he leaned, even he rested. The perfect Son of God embraced weakness without shame. Then surely I can too. God, I think of all the people who hide behind smiles, carrying unseen burdens. The single parent holding everything together. The worker showing up despite exhaustion. The friend pretending laughter while grieving inside. The soul fighting silent battles in the dark. For them, and for myself, I ask that you transform weakness into strength, not by erasing the struggle, but by filling it with your presence. Let every shaking hand feel the weight of your support. Let every trembling heart sense the nearness of your peace. When I am tempted to compare my weakness to another strength, remind me that every life has its hidden valleys. Let me not envy the appearance of ease, but trust that you are teaching each of us in different ways. My weakness may look different, but it is no less redeemable. You can turn fatigue into gentleness, limitation into humility, failure into wisdom. There is no wound you cannot weave into wholeness. Father, give me courage to speak truth about weakness, to stop apologizing for being human. Let my transparency be testimony, not embarrassment. When others see me struggle but still trust you, may they sense your reality. Let the cracks in my story reflect the mercy that holds it together. Strength that pretends is brittle. Strength that depends is eternal. I choose the second. I choose the strength that bends rather than breaks. Lord, when the day grows long and demands multiply, remind me to pause and breathe your name. In that breath, return my balance. When frustration rises because I cannot meet every need, remind me that you never asked me to. You simply asked me to love, to show up, to be faithful in the small. Weakness reminds me that I am not the savior, only the servant, and that truth, instead of diminishing me, frees me. There will be times when my body aches, my spirit sags, and I wonder if I can continue. In those hours, let me remember how you renew strength like the eagles, not by eliminating gravity, but by teaching wings to rise on it. Let hardship become the current that lifts me higher, not the weight that drags me down. Let faith grow from friction. Let endurance grow from surrender. Father, as I walk through this day, I will meet moments that test me difficult words, impossible tasks, unexpected setbacks. Instead of panicking, help me to see each one as an opportunity to rely on you again. Whisper to me, you are not failing. You are leaning. When I stumble, catch me with mercy. When I falter, remind me that progress measured in grace is still progress. And when night returns, may I look back at how strong I was, but at how faithful you were. Let my story be this simple. I was weak, and you were strong. I was tired, and you carried me. I was afraid, and you stayed. Let every fragile step become evidence of your sustaining love. For though I am small, you are vast. Though I waver, you remain. In this holy exchange, my weakness for your strength, I find peace deeper than understanding and courage that does not depend on self. It is enough to know that even when I cannot hold on to you, you are still holding on to me. Father, after learning to find strength in weakness, I sense another truth unfolding in me, the kind of strength that does not roar but rests, the strength that stands quietly behind calm eyes and steady breath. It is not loud or visible, yet it defends better than any sword. It is the shield of peace. I feel you inviting me into it now, into the stillness that does not depend on silence but on trust. My world can tremble, my heart can ache, but if peace anchors me, I will not be moved. Lord, you know how easily my thoughts turn to storms. A small worry becomes thunder. A single uncertainty can multiply until the sky inside my mind darkens. I try to reason my way out, to control outcomes, to find safety in understanding. Yet peace slips through logic like water through fingers. Then you remind me that peace is not found by solving life, but by surrendering it. It is not an outcome, it is a presence. It is you. When I forget that chaos wins, when I remember, even chaos becomes quiet. God, help me to guard this peace the way soldiers guard their post. Let it be the first thing I reach for when fear arrives, when anxiety creeps in through the cracks of my thinking. Let peace rise like a tide, washing away what fear tries to build. Teach me to protect this calm, not with resistance, but with gentleness. When I react in anger, peace withdraws. When I respond with patience, it returns. Make me mindful of this holy cause and effect. Peace grows where trust is planted. Father, there are moments when everything around me seems to demand reaction voices. Deadlines, opinions, expectations. The world glorifies noise. It rewards outrage and speed. But I am learning that the soul cannot thrive in constant motion. You call me to a slower rhythm, to live unhurried in spirit even when my hands are busy. Help me to carry inward quiet into outward chaos. Let peace become the invisible rhythm beneath every task, steady and unbroken. Lord, I know peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of confidence in you. When I face confrontation, let me meet it without venom. When I encounter injustice, let peace keep me from hatred, even as I act for what is right. When words of others wound me, let peace shield me from taking offense. You never promised a world without storms, but you promised yourself within them. You slept through waves that terrified others because you knew that no storm could sink a boat carrying your purpose. Teach me that same rest to stay awake yet unafraid, to stand firm without aggression, to trust that every storm still answers to your voice. God, there are people I love who live without this peace. Their minds are restless, their hearts burdened, their nights long. I lift them before you now, one by one, their names quietly forming in my mind. Cover them with the same calm you wrap around me. Let your peace visit their homes like morning light through curtains, soft but sure. Let it settle on them while they work, while they drive, while they worry about what tomorrow holds. Whisper into their chaos that they are seen, that they can rest. Make me, too, an instrument of that peace, someone whose presence softens the air around them. Father, I often think of peace as fragile, something easily lost, but you show me that true peace is unbreakable, because it is not mine to hold, it holds me. Even when emotions change or life turns violent, peace remains beneath it all like bedrock under waves. I can feel storms crash, but they cannot reach that depth. Teach me to live from that depth instead of the surface. When I speak, let words rise from that still water. When I act, let actions flow from that grounded calm. Lord, sometimes I mistake distraction for peace. I keep myself busy so I feel the tension. But avoidance is not serenity. You call me to sit still and let you meet me in the discomfort. It is there, not away from it, that peace begins. The world tells me to escape. You tell me to breathe. You do not numb me to pain. You teach me how to stand in it without drowning. You do not erase trouble. You expand my capacity to remain gentle within it. This is the miracle I long to live, to stay soft in a hard world, to stay kind when anger seems easier, to stay grounded when everything shakes. Father, let my thoughts today move at the pace of peace. When decisions come, let them be guided by still confidence rather than haste. When interruptions happen, let peace remind me that time is yours, not mine. When disappointment visits, let it find me anchored in gratitude. Guard my mind like a city surrounded by walls that cannot be breached by anxiety. Guard my heart like a lamp covered from the wind, but still burning bright. Let the peace you give not as the world gives rule, as the quiet authority within me. When I walk through the day's noise, let peace move with me like a silent companion. In conversations that could turn sharp, let it soften my tone. In moments when plans collapse, let it steady my breathing. In the spaces where uncertainty waits, let it whisper, it is safe to trust. When others bring chaos, help me not to mirror it. Instead, let peace in me become the mirror that reflects calm back to them. God, I know that maintaining peace requires practice. It is a discipline of remembrance, a returning again and again to the truth that you are near. When I forget, remind me with simple things. The rhythm of my heartbeat, the weight of air in my lungs, the slow unfolding of clouds above me. These are all sermons of steadiness, preaching that the world continues because you hold it. If you can hold galaxies, surely you can hold my day. There will be moments, Lord, when peace feels distant, when panic tries to convince me it has won. In those moments, remind me of the peace you promised, one that surpasses understanding. It does not rely on reasons, exists beyond them. It is the peace that comes not after the storm. Within it, it is the peace that allows me to say, even with trembling voice, "It is well with my soul." That sentence alone becomes the armor nothing can penetrate. Father, let this peace extend beyond my private prayers. Let it reach into my relationships, my decisions, my reactions. Let it color my words with gentleness and my silence with compassion. Let it linger long enough that others notice the calm that cannot be fake. And when they ask where it comes from, let them find not explanation, but reflection, the quiet evidence of a heart kept by you. As this morning deepens into day, I carry this shield of peace over my spirit. It does not make me untouchable. It makes me unbreakable. It allows me to walk into uncertainty with steady breath, to face conflict without losing tenderness, to meet pain without surrendering to it. The peace you give is not light, it is weight, an invisible gravity that keeps me centered in love. So I take it with me now into every moment that awaits, trusting that wherever peace rules, fear cannot, and where you dwell, nothing can disturb the stillness that you have built within me. Lord, after finding stillness in your peace, my heart begins to stir again, not with anxiety this time, but with a quiet, rising gladness that feels like sunlight reaching into hidden corners. It begins softly, like the faint hum of a song I once knew but forgot how to sing. You remind me that peace prepares the ground, but joy is what blooms from it. The world often treats joy as a reward, something to be earned after every battle is over. But you show me that joy itself is a weapon, a form of resistance against despair. It is the light that refuses to go out, even when the night tries to stretch longer. Father, there are mornings when joy feels out of reach. The news is heavy, the plans uncertain, the body tired. It would be easier to surrender to indifference than to hope again. But you whisper that joy is not a denial of pain. It is a declaration that pain will not have the final word. You invite me to choose gladness, not because life is simple, but because you are still good. Teach me, then, to rejoice not as escape, but as defiance, to sing while the storm still rages, to smile even when answers delay, to lift my spirit not out of ignorance, but out of faith. God, you are the author of all true joy, not the fleeting happiness that depends on what I own or achieve, but the steady delight that springs from knowing I belong to you. It is the kind of joy that does not vanish with disappointment, the kind that outlasts loss and transforms even tears into testimony. You do not ask me to manufacture it. You invite me to remember that it already exists in your presence. When I draw near to you, joy is inevitable, because you are joy itself, the quiet pulse beneath all creation, the laughter woven into every sunrise. Father, let my joy today be unshakable, not loud or forced, but grounded and real. Let it rise naturally, like a well that never runs dry, feeding on gratitude, flowing into kindness. When frustration comes, let joy respond first. When fear knocks, let joy open the door. When sorrow whispers that I am alone, let joy answer with the truth that I am loved. Make joy my reflex, not my reaction. Let it become the language my soul speaks, fluently even when words fail. Lord, I confess how often I trade joy for control. I think I will rejoice when everything is fixed, when plans align, when people understand me. But that is not joy. That is condition. Real joy needs no permission slip from circumstances. It thrives in imperfection, dances in uncertainty, and finds music even in monotony. You teach me that I can be joyful while still waiting, grateful while still grieving, hopeful while still healing. To live that way is not denial. It is holy rebellion against despair. God, remind me that joy is not loudness, but depth. It does not always shout. Sometimes it simply stays. It lingers through weariness, hums under sorrow, and whispers comfort into silence. It is the hidden strength that allows me to keep loving when love costs something. It is the steady flame that refuses to be extinguished by disappointment. It is the echo of eternity reminding me that even the darkest night is temporary. When I forget this, rekindle it in me again. Father, I also ask for joy that overflows, not one that ends with me. Let it spill naturally into my interactions the way I greet a stranger, the tone in my conversations, the patience I show to those who frustrate me. Let my joy be contagious, not through noise, but through peace that glows. When someone looks at me and wonders how I remain calm amid difficulty, let them sense not denial but divine delight. May my countenance preach what words cannot, that joy is possible even here. Even now, there are people, Lord, who have forgotten how to laugh. They wake each day heavy with duty and disappointment. Their hope feels fragile, their smiles rehearsed. I lift them to you. Teach them again the sacredness of laughter, the kind that breaks chains, the kind that reminds the heart it is still alive. Send someone, maybe even me, to remind them that joy is not luxury. It is survival. The world needs more joy-filled souls, not because everything is fine, but because they carry proof that you still reign. God, give me eyes that recognize joy in disguise, in the sound of rain against windows, in the small mercy of a kind word, in the courage of a child's laughter. Let me not miss the miracles hidden in ordinary places. Keep my heart alert for beauty that interrupts sorrow. When gratitude meets awareness, joy begins to multiply, and I want to live in that abundance. Father, when trials stretch long, help me to choose joy intentionally. Let it be the rhythm I walk to, the melody that steadies my step. When I encounter negativity, let joy shield my spirit from cynicism. When I face disappointment, let joy remind me that I have survived worse. When I feel unseen, let joy whisper that you are watching. Joy does not remove struggle. It transforms how I move through it. It lifts my eyes to eternity when the present feels narrow. Lord, you know how easily I absorb the heaviness of others. I feel their burdens deeply, and sometimes that empathy weighs me down. Teach me that joy and compassion can coexist. Joy does not mean I ignore pain. It means I trust you with it. It allows me to comfort without drowning, to listen without despairing, to carry light even into dark spaces. Joy is not selfish, it is strength shared quietly. As the morning expands into the full brightness of day, let this joy travel with me like a secret song. When work feels monotonous, let me find rhythm in gratitude. When conversations tire me, let humor return warmth to my heart. When plans fail, let me laugh softly at my own smallness and find comfort in your vastness. Let joy make me humble, not proud gentle, not careless resilient, not rigid. Father, I do not ask for a life without sorrow. I only ask for joy that remains stronger than it. Teach me to carry both without contradiction, to let tears fall without extinguishing praise, to let laughter rise even after loss. That is the paradox of faith, and I want to live it fully. Let joy become my act of resistance, my steady answer to the darkness that tries to swallow the world. Let it root so deeply in me that even when silence falls, joy hums quietly beneath it, alive and unbroken. And now, as I prepare to step deeper into this day, I will carry joy not as an accessory, but as armor. It will not shield me from pain, but it will keep my heart from hardening. It will remind me that your goodness is not seasonal, that your promises are not fragile, and that no shadow lasts forever. With every breath, I will choose this rebellion of joy, a defiant gratitude that refuses despair the victory. And in doing so, I will find that joy, once chosen, becomes its own strength, an unshakable light that nothing in this world can overcome. Father, as joy takes root and begins to bloom quietly within me, I sense how naturally it leads into gratitude. Joy, when it deepens, always finds its voice in thanksgiving. It becomes a language all its own, a way of seeing, speaking, and living that turns every breath into praise. The world teaches me to speak of what is missing, to name what has gone wrong, to dwell on the lack. But you, Lord, are teaching me another vocabulary, one that transforms scarcity into sufficiency. You teach me that the tongue can become a fountain of blessing or a well of complaint, and each morning gives me the choice of which it will be. God, help me to begin this day fluent in gratitude. Let my first words not be a list of needs, but a chorus of thanks. Before I ask for anything, remind me of everything I already have. I thank you for the body that wakes, the breath that fills it, the mind that still dares to dream, the heart that still dares to love. Thank you for the sunrise that paints the ordinary with glory, for the quiet sounds of life unfolding, the kettle boiling, the footsteps of another day arriving. Thank you for the simple mercy of beginning again. Lord, sometimes I forget that thanksgiving is not a feeling, but a decision. There are days when gratitude does not come easily, when disappointment blurs my sight. In those moments, teach me to speak thanks as an act of faith, not emotion. Let my mouth lead my heart when my heart hesitates. When I say, thank you, may not be denial but declaration, that even if I do not yet see the good, I trust it is already being written. Gratitude becomes my bridge between what hurts and what heals. Father, I know that gratitude changes more than my mood. It changes the atmosphere of my life. When I choose to thank you, bitterness loses its grip, fear loosens its hold, and peace finds room to breathe. Thanksgiving does not erase the hard things, it simply puts them in their rightful place. Beneath the weight of your goodness, even my sorrows can become sacred when they are offered in gratitude. Teach me to thank you for lessons learned the hard way, for patience grown through waiting, for compassion carved by pain. Gratitude is not blindness to struggle. It is sight restored to grace. Lord, let my gratitude extend beyond the private moments of prayer. Let it spill naturally into the way I speak to others. Let me be quick to acknowledge kindness, to honor effort, to express appreciation rather than entitlement. The world is hungry for gentle words. Let mine be among them. When someone serves, help me to notice. When someone listens, help me to thank them. When someone forgives, help me to learn from them. Let my gratitude move from speech to action, from feeling to generosity. True thanksgiving always gives back. God, train my mind to find reasons for gratitude, even in places that feel empty. When plans fail, let me thank you for redirection. When doors close, let me thank you for protection. When silence stretches long, let me thank you for the invitation to trust deeper. Gratitude opens my hands when life tempts me to clench them. It shifts my posture from grasping to receiving. It reminds me that every moment, even the ordinary ones, holds the possibility of grace. Father, there are people who have taught me what gratitude really looks like, the ones who thank you even in suffering, who smile through scarcity, who bless others while carrying their own pain. Their joy humbles me. I remember the old woman who prayed in whispers, thanking you for one more sunrise. I remember the man who sang softly in the hospital bed, grateful just for the sound of breath. These lives preach louder than any sermon. They remind me that gratitude does not depend on abundance, but on awareness. Teach me to live like that grateful, not because I have everything, but because I have you. Lord, you know how easily I drift into complaint. I rehearse frustration until it becomes fluency. I see the imperfections first, the delays, the disappointments, but today I ask that you retrain my speech when irritation rises. Let thanks interrupt it when criticism forms. Let appreciation rewrite it when temptation whispers to dwell on what is wrong. Let thanksgiving answer with what is still right. Let my words carry warmth even in weariness, hope even in hardship. Gratitude changes not only the way I speak, but the way others hear me. It turns every conversation into an echo of grace. God, remind me that thanksgiving is a form of worship, not merely politeness. When I thank you, I am aligning myself with truth, that everything I have is gift, and every gift points back to the giver. Gratitude is humility in motion. It bows before abundance, whether that abundance is visible or still unseen. Even in the desert, there is manna, even in loss. There is presence, even in silence. There is still love. To live thankfully is to live awake, to refuse numbness, to notice beauty, to believe again. Father, I want my gratitude to be specific, not vague. So I thank you for the laughter of those I love, for the quiet strength of those who stay, for the lessons hidden in every goodbye. Thank you for music that finds me when I cannot pray, for light that bends through leaves, for kindness that arrives unannounced. Thank you for the courage to face what frightens me, for the mercy that meets me when I fail, for the peace that settles when I surrender. Every good thing comes from you. None of it is small. Lord, help me to live this day as one long act of thanksgiving. Let gratitude color how I see, how I walk, how I respond. Let it be the rhythm of my steps, the echo of my heartbeat, the undercurrent of my thoughts. And when the world around me complains, let my thankfulness stand quietly against the tide. Let me be the voice that still says, God is good, not because life is perfect, but because love is real. When I lay down tonight, may I remember not what I lacked, but what I received. Let me count mercies instead of mistakes, moments of laughter instead of loss. Let gratitude close my day as it began it with awe. And if tomorrow comes, let me wake again fluent in thanksgiving, speaking the language that never grows old, the language that turns ordinary breath into worship. For gratitude, when practiced daily, becomes not just words I speak, but the way I live an unending conversation between the created and the Creator, carried in every heartbeat, carried in every breath. Father, as gratitude softens the edges of my heart, I begin to hear the quiet voice that speaks beneath my prayers, the one that narrates my thoughts, defines my worth, and shapes how I see myself. For so long, that inner voice has not always been kind. It echoes old words spoken in anger, the judgments of others, the whispers of fear that say, I am never enough. Even when my lips speak faith, that hidden voice often argues otherwise. But this morning, as light spills gently across the world, I feel you calling me to listen differently, to let you heal the narrator within. Lord, you know how this voice was formed. It carries years of comparison, moments of rejection, fragments of guilt that never found rest. It remembers every mistake with painful precision, while forgetting every grace you have given, Sometimes it shames me in your name, twisting conviction into condemnation. Other times it flatters pride and calls it confidence. It changes tone with circumstance, yet it always demands perfection. I am wary of that endless chatter that measures and condemns. I long to hear your voice, instead the voice that builds instead of breaks, the voice that steadies instead of shames. God, teach me to recognize the difference between truth and cruelty. When the inner critic rises, let me pause and ask, is this what you would say to me? For you do not speak with bitterness or accusation. You never call me worthless or unlovable. You correct with gentleness, not humiliation. You convict, but always with a hand extended toward hope. The harshness that hides beneath the surface is not your voice. It is the echo of a world that forgot compassion. Silence that echo, Lord, until all that remains is love speaking clearly. Father, I want to unlearn the language of self-judgment and learn, instead, the vocabulary of grace. Replace every I am not enough with I am growing. Replace every I am broken with I am being made whole. Let my inner speech become prayer rather than punishment. The way I speak to myself shapes how I speak to others. When I am gentle inside, I can be gentle outside. When I receive mercy inwardly, I have mercy to give. So begin this healing within me, not with noise, but with quiet awareness, the slow work of becoming kind to my own soul. Lord, help me remember that the story I tell myself is not finished. Too often I freeze the narrative at failure, assuming that what has been written cannot change. But you are the author who keeps writing new chapters long after I think the book should close. Where I see only endings, you see openings. Where I read tragedy, you write transformation. Let me stop interrupting the story with despair. Teach me to trust the pen in your hand. God, remind me that humility is not self-hatred. You never asked me to despise what you created. You asked me to steward it, to honor it, to see it as reflection, not flaw. When I insult myself, I insult the work of your hands. Help me to see through your eyes that notice both fragility and beauty, eyes that call the unfinished good. Help me to believe that I can be both imperfect and beloved, both learning and worthy. There is no contradiction in that truth. There is only grace. Father, I bring to you the memories that shaped the cruel voice inside me. The childhood moments when love felt conditional. The failures that taught me shame instead of growth. The times I tried to please everyone and still felt unseen. You were there even then, whispering better words, but I did not know how to listen. Heal those moments retroactively. Lord, let your compassion travel backward through time, rewriting the meaning of my past. Let the pain lose its power to define me. Let forgiveness soften the places still bruised by regret. Lord, teach me to practice gentleness in the way I think when I make mistakes. Remind me that remorse need not become self-rejection. When I succeed, remind me that pride need not become arrogance. Keep my thoughts balanced in humility and hope. Let me narrate my days with kindness to say, I tried, not I failed. To say, I am learning, not I will never change. This shift in language is not small. It is sacred. It is the difference between despair and discipline, between collapse and courage. God, I ask that you place your truth like a melody beneath my inner words. Let it hum quietly beneath every thought until it becomes my default rhythm. Let your promises overwrite the lies that linger, that I am alone, that I am behind, that I am unloved. Teach me to repeat instead what you have already spoken. I am chosen. I am forgiven. I am enough because you are enough in me. These are not slogans. They are survival. Let them shape the dialogue of my heart. Father, when I find myself replaying old conversations, defending myself in imaginary arguments, or criticizing what cannot be undone, meet me there with peace. Whisper, "You can rest now." Remind me that my worth does not require explanation, that I do not have to prove myself to the world or to you. You already know my motives, my efforts, my limits. Your acceptance is not earned. It is given. Help me to live as one who truly believes that. Lord, I also ask for the courage to speak life into others, as I learn to speak it into myself. The world is full of wounded narrators, people repeating the same harsh stories they were told. Let me be an interruption to that cycle. Let my words become reminders of goodness. Small restorations in the middle of someone's storm. Teach me to speak softly but with conviction, to affirm without flattery, to correct without cruelty. The healed voice becomes a healing voice, and I want mine to carry that tone. God, there will still be days when the old voice returns, loud and familiar. When that happens, help me not to panic. Let me listen long enough to recognize it. Name it and hand it to you. Each time I choose compassion over criticism, the old voice grows weaker. Each time I choose your truth over my own fear, the balance shifts toward freedom. Healing is not a single event. It is the ongoing conversation where grace keeps out talking guilt. Father, as this morning deepens and life begins to move faster, anchor me in this new inner language. Let me narrate this day through gratitude, not anxiety. When I describe my moments to myself, let them be colored by hope. If I fall, let my first thought not be condemnation, but curiosity. What are you teaching me here? Let every reflection end not with regret, but with renewal. And as I step forward, let my mind and heart agree on this one truth. I am loved in process. The voice of grace will be my guide today, the gentle narrator that tells me the truth, that keeps me humble yet unafraid, that reminds me I am a story still unfolding, written by steady hands that never lose patience, never lose faith, and never stop speaking love. Father, as the voice within me softens and learns to speak with grace, my heart turns outward. Healing on the inside naturally moves toward love on the outside. I feel it now, a quiet pull to pray not only for myself, but for those whose lives are intertwined with mine. The circle of my heart widens to include the people who share my roof, my name, my memories. Family so simple to name, so complex to love. In them, I have tasted both joy and ache, belonging and misunderstanding. Yet I know this, Lord, family is the first ministry you ever gave to the human heart. It is where love begins its practice, and forgiveness learns its rhythm. God, I lift them to you this morning, one by one, though I may not speak their names aloud. You know them better than I do their strengths, their fears, their secret battles, the dreams they hesitate to voice. You see what I miss when I grow too familiar. You notice the quiet sadness behind their smiles, the exhaustion behind their laughter. Father, meet each of them where they are. Let your presence rest gently upon them like light across water, soft but sure, changing everything it touches. Lord, for my family, I ask first for peace, not the shallow kind that avoids truth, but the deep kind that grows from honesty and compassion. In the places where tension has hardened us, soften the walls. In the moments when pride has spoken louder than love, bring humility that restores. Let old grudges lose their grip and unspoken hurts find release. Teach us how to talk without tearing, how to listen without waiting to defend. You are the great reconciler. Reconcile us to one another. Father, I know that love is often tested most deeply at home. It is easy to be kind to strangers, easier to forgive those we rarely see. But family asks for daily mercy. It asks for patience when tempers rise, for gentleness when frustration flares, for courage to apologize even when the wound feels justified. So give me that courage today. Let me be the first to soften, the first to bridge the silence, the first to speak blessing instead of blame, change the atmosphere of my home, not by miracle alone, but through my own willingness to love. Lord, I bring before you those in my family who are struggling in ways words cannot capture. Some fight battles of the body, pain, sickness, frailty. Others battle in the mind, anxiety, loneliness, quiet despair. Some wrestle with faith itself, unsure if you still hear them. For each one, I ask for light. Surround them with people who carry warmth, who remind them they are not forgotten. Whisper to them in the hours when no one else sees. And if you can use me to be part of that healing, let me not hesitate. God, I pray for the children in my family, those growing in body and in wonder. Guard their innocence while you grow their wisdom. Protect their minds from voices that tell them they are not enough. Teach them early that love is not something they must earn. Let them feel cherished before they ever learn to perform. For the elders, grant rest. Let their years be crowned with dignity, not regret. Remind them that their lives still matter, that their prayers still move heaven. Let every generation in my family find purpose in yours, each linked by faith even if distance divides us. Father, I know that no family is perfect. We carry patterns we did not create and wounds we did not intend. But you are the God who transforms bloodlines into blessings. Break any chain that keeps pain repeating. Heal the unspoken griefs that pass quietly from one generation to another. Replace the inheritance of fear with the legacy of faith. Let the next laughter we share be freer, because forgiveness has made room for it. Lord, I ask also for provision, not only material, though you know the needs that weigh on us, but provision of spirit. Provide encouragement when exhaustion creeps in. Provide hope when plans unravel. Provide joy that does not depend on circumstance. Let my family never be defined by lack, but by love. Teach us that abundance is not counted in possessions, but in peace. Let generosity become the rhythm of our household, the kind that gives time, attention, and understanding more freely than anything money could buy. God, in this busy world, where schedules scatter us like leaves in the wind, I pray for unity without control. Keep us close without suffocating, connected without demanding sameness. Let each person's individuality add color to the canvas of our shared story. Remind us that love does not erase difference. It celebrates it. When misunderstandings come, and they will let patience hold us until grace repairs what words break. Father, help me to see my family through your eyes today. When I grow irritated, remind me of how fleeting time truly is. When I am tempted to withdraw, remind me of how precious togetherness can be. Help me to remember that these ordinary days are the ones I will one day long for. Let me not waste them in distraction or pride. Teach me to treasure the sound of familiar laughter, the comfort of shared meals, the small moments that seem unremarkable but quietly shape the heart. Lord, for the family I was born into and the family I have chosen, I ask for blessing that endures. Bless the conversations that shape us. Bless the journeys that take us apart and bring us back. Bless the love that holds even through silence. Bless the prayers we forget to pray, but that you still answer. Let our home, wherever it stands, be marked not by perfection, but by presence yours first, and then ours, woven together in grace. God, when I am tempted to despair over those I love who seem far from peace or faith, steady me with patience. You love them more than I ever could. You are still writing their story. Help me to trust that love does not end where understanding does. Keep my hope alive for every prodigal heart, for every strained bond, for every silence waiting to be bridged. In time, your light finds even the darkest rooms. And as this morning grows brighter, I offer you my family as both gift and responsibility. Let me be a bearer of calm within it, a keeper of compassion, a quiet reminder that love is stronger than anything that divides. Let my prayers wrap around them like invisible arms, steady and unseen. For in every heartbeat that connects us, I see traces of you, the Father of all families, the author of every home that learns to love through grace, and the one who teaches me daily that family, at its best, is simply another word for belonging in you. Father, after placing my family in your hands, my thoughts drift naturally toward the work that fills so much of my days, the calling that shapes my hours, the tasks that build the rhythm of my living. Each sunrise brings new responsibilities, new choices, new challenges to meet, and though I often see them as routine, I know they are sacred in your sight. You see not just the effort of my hands, but the intention of my heart behind each act. So before I begin the labor of this day, I bring my work and calling before you and ask you to breathe purpose into them again. Lord, you designed humanity not merely to exist, but to create, to cultivate, to serve. Work was never a curse in your design. It was a gift and invitation to partner with you in shaping goodness out of the world. Yet too often, my labor becomes toil, my calling becomes competition, and my heart forgets that its truest goal is not recognition, but reflection, reflecting your character in all I do. So remind me this morning that my workplace, whether quiet or chaotic, whether praised or unseen, is a holy ground when offered to you. God, I surrender my schedule, my ambitions, and my results to your wisdom. Let my striving find rhythm in your peace. When I begin to measure my worth by what I produce, whisper to me that identity is not output. I am not valuable because I succeed. I am valuable because I am yours. When frustration rises and progress feels slow, remind me that faithfulness is more precious than speed. You never ask me to do everything, only to do what you place before me with care, integrity, and love. Father, I bring before you my coworkers, my leaders, and those who depend on me. You know the dynamics that shape our days, the silent tensions, the unspoken fatigue, the small kindnesses that keep us going. Where there is competition, sow cooperation. Where there is envy, plant respect. Where there is weariness, pour fresh strength. Let my presence in that space be steady and kind, a quiet anchor amid the rush. Help me to notice the overlooked, to encourage the wary, to forgive quickly, to speak truth without harm. Lord, I confess how easily pride disguises itself in my work. Success whispers that I have done this on my own, and failure insists that I am nothing at all. Both voices are liars. Teach me humility in victory and resilience in defeat. When I am praised, let gratitude rise higher than ego. When I am criticized, let patience speak louder than defense. Let my confidence rest not in my talent, but in the one who gave it. You are the author of every skill I use, every idea that stirs within me, Without you, my work may impress but never endure. God, let my calling today not be limited to career. Every act of service, every word spoken with care, every task done with love, these are all pieces of the calling you have entrusted to me. Whether I sweep a floor or lead a team, whether I teach or listen, whether I speak or stay silent, each can be holy when done for you. Let me never divide my life into sacred and secular, for all of it belongs to you. You dwell not only in churches but in offices, classrooms, workshops, kitchens, and streets. Wherever I labor, make it sanctuary. Father, I ask for wisdom as I make decisions that affect others. Let integrity guide me when shortcuts seem easier. Let compassion influence every leadership, and let fairness shape every judgment. When I must speak hard truths, let kindness temper my words. When I must face pressure, let courage steady my breath. Remind me that influence is not ownership, it is stewardship. Whatever authority I hold, let it be used to lift, not to lord. Lord, in moments when fatigue wraps around me and purpose feels distant, renew my strength with meaning. Let me remember the why behind the work. Every small task is a chance to contribute to something greater than myself. Every challenge can become an altar where patience is practiced. Let me see your fingerprints in the ordinary, the email written with care, the meeting where patience holds, the idea that serves someone's need, when monotony threatens to numb my spirit. Restore wonder. Remind me that repetition is not waste when done with love. It is worship disguised as diligence. God, bless also those who cannot find work, those who labor under injustice, and those whose efforts go unseen. For the hands that build and mend, for the minds that create and heal, for the souls who give without recognition, let your favor rest on them. Provide opportunity where doors have closed. Bring fairness where exploitation thrives. Remind every worker that their labor is noticed by you, even when the world ignores it. For you are the ultimate employer, the one who measures not hours but heart. Father, when anxiety about the future creeps in, when I wonder whether I am in the right place or walking the right path, calm me with your assurance. Purpose is not a fixed destination, but a faithful direction. You can use me here, in this moment, even if I do not see the whole design. Let contentment grow where comparison once lived. Let diligence replace doubt. If you desire to move me elsewhere, I will trust the timing. But if you ask me to stay, teach me to serve with joy right where I stand. Lord, let me work today with presence, not distraction. Let me give my best without becoming obsessed. Let me finish tasks, but not forget people. Let my ambition bow to compassion, and my goals make room for grace. In every conversation, let kindness be my tone. In every decision, let love be my motive. Let me end this day not drained by striving, but fulfilled by faithfulness. God, I dedicate my talents and tools to you. My mind, that it may think clearly. My hands, that they may build gently. My words, that they may heal rather than harm. My time, that it may serve eternal purposes in temporal hours. Every resource I have is borrowed from you. Help me use it wisely, multiply it humbly, return it gratefully. And as the day unfolds, when I step out into the stream of responsibilities that await, walk beside me in every moment. Let the sound of your quiet guidance steady me amid the noise of expectation. Let my work become prayer in motion, my labor become language of love. For when my calling flows through grace, even the smallest task becomes sacred, and every effort becomes a reflection of you, the God who still works, still creates, still sustains, through hands like mine that long simply to serve with a faithful heart. Father, after entrusting my work and calling into your hands, my thoughts turn to those whose days are not filled with tasks and plans, but with pain and waiting. The morning light that brings me energy can bring them only weariness. I think of those whose bodies ache, whose strength has faded, whose breath comes with effort. I think of those whose hearts are heavy with grief, whose spirits are worn thin by struggle. As I stand in this quiet space of prayer, I cannot forget them. Their names pass through my mind like a procession of souls needing comfort. And I lift them to you now. Lord, you see them more clearly than I do. You know the ones lying in hospital rooms where machines hum in place of silence. The ones awake through long nights filled with fear or pain. You see the families sitting beside them, trying to be strong, pretending they are not afraid. You hear the quiet prayers whispered into sterile air, the words spoken through tears that no one else notices. You are there in every sigh, in every trembling hand, in every tear that falls unnoticed by others. Teach me never to forget that you are the God who kneels beside suffering, not one who stands far away from it. God, I pray first for comfort, not the shallow kind that merely soothes, but the deep, steady presence that comes from knowing you are near. Let your peace settle over the suffering like a soft blanket of warmth. Let pain lose its power to define their worth. Let anxiety loosen its grip as your calm enters the room. Where medicine cannot reach, let your spirit touch. Where words cannot heal, let silence become holy. Even if the body remains frail, let the soul be steadied by hope that does not waver. Father, I also ask for courage for those enduring long illness, courage to face another sunrise with faith rather than fear. For those who care for them, courage to keep loving through exhaustion. For the doctors, nurses, and caregivers, courage to carry compassion into every decision. Give them wisdom guided by empathy, precision shaped by patience, and hearts that remember each patient is a story, not a statistic. Bless their hands, their eyes, their instincts. Let their service become sacred, their labor a reflection of your healing nature. Lord, you understand pain in ways we never can. You bore it, not as punishment but as compassion. You entered suffering to redeem it, turning agony into empathy, turning despair into doorway. Teach us to see pain not as proof of your absence, but as the very place where you draw closest. When I visit those who suffer, help me not to offer easy words, but genuine presence. Let my silence speak love. Let my eyes say, you are not alone. God, I confess how easily I look away from suffering because it frightens me. I do not know what to say, so I avoid it. Forgive my comfort-driven heart that forgets how holy is to weep with those who weep. Teach me again how to stay, to hold a hand without rushing to fix what cannot yet be fixed, to listen without judgment, to pray without performing, to sit quietly beside another's pain, and let compassion become the language between us. Father, for those battling unseen afflictions, depression, trauma, fear, or loneliness, shine light in the hidden corners of their minds. When they feel abandoned, remind them that even darkness is not dark to you. Whisper into their thoughts that healing takes time, and that weakness is not failure. Surround them with people who carry gentle strength, who love without demanding smiles, who remind them that even survival is sacred. Let every breath they manage today be a victory in your eyes. Lord, I pray for those facing loss, the loss of health, of loved ones, of hope itself. Grief is its own kind of sickness, invisible yet all-consuming. Wrap them in comfort that does not rush them to move on. Let them grieve without guilt. Teach them that mourning is not the absence of faith, but the proof of love. As they walk through the valley of sorrow, let your light mark the path ahead, a faint but faithful glow that promises morning will come again. God, help me remember that healing takes many forms. Sometimes it arrives through recovery, sometimes through relief, and sometimes through release. I will not pretend to understand the mystery of your timing. I will only trust that your compassion never ends. When you restore health, let gratitude overflow. When you choose to bring someone home, let peace wrap around those who remain. And in all outcomes, let love be the final word. Father, let my prayers reach beyond the people I know. Let them stretch to the unseen faces across this world, the refugees without medicine, the children in war-torn places, the elderly with no one to care for them. Let your mercy move through every barrier of language and distance. Where injustice magnifies suffering, raise voices that bring change. Where despair has silenced hope, send comfort that revives it. Remind me that intercession is not just compassion spoken. It is love in motion. Lord, teach me to be a vessel of healing even in small ways. Let my words be gentle, my presence a balm. Help me notice those who suffer quietly, the coworker hiding tears, the neighbor living in isolation, the friend who laughs too loudly to hide pain. Let my eyes see what yours see, and let my actions become extensions of your kindness. Sometimes healing begins not in miracles, but in simple humanity and patience. In listening, in presence. God, I ask for endurance for the long road of recovery. Healing is rarely instant. It often moves at the pace of trust. Give strength to those who feel forgotten along the way. Let them see small signs of progress, a steadier breath, a calmer night, a flicker of joy. Let gratitude bloom, even in waiting. Let hope stay alive like a pulse beneath pain, steady and persistent. Father, remind us that even suffering can birth compassion in others. Pain, when surrendered, becomes seed. Out of sorrow grows empathy. Out of weakness grows mercy. Let those who have been healed become healers. Those who have been comforted become comforters. Let no suffering be wasted. And as the morning continues to unfold, I entrust all who suffer into your tender care. You are the physician who never sleeps, the comforter who never leaves, the companion who sits through every long night. Let them feel that companionship today in ways both quiet and unmistakable. Let love hold them stronger. Father, as I reflect on the work you have called me to do, my heart drifts again towards something deeper, the unseen labor of the soul, the quiet work of forgiveness. It is strange how often I carry the weight of yesterday while trying to walk into today. Even as my hands move forward, my heart lingers in the shadows of what has hurt or disappointed me. I want to release it, Lord. Yet forgiveness often feels like trying to unclench a fist that has been closed too long. Still, I know you have not called me to hold pain, but to let love move through me freely, like water that keeps itself pure by flowing. God, teach me the kind of forgiveness that mirrors yours, honest, full, and freeing. You do not minimize pain. You redeem it. You do not deny wounds. You transform them into healing. When I think of those who have wronged me, I do not want bitterness to become my identity. I want to remember without resentment, to acknowledge what happened without being held hostage by it. Forgiveness is not pretending it did not matter. It is deciding that my peace matters more. Help me, Lord, to choose peace, even when anger feels justified. Lord, there are names and faces that rise in my mind as I speak this. Some still cause my chest to tighten. The betrayal, the harsh words, the misunderstandings that never found resolution. They live quietly in the corners of memory, shaping how I trust, how I speak, how I guard my heart. I bring each one to you now, not because I can erase the pain, but because I believe you can repurpose it. Take what was meant to harm and turn it toward wisdom. Let compassion replace cynicism, and let humility take the place of pride. Father, remind me that forgiveness is not weakness. It does not excuse wrong. It releases me from its control. Holding on to resentment does not protect me, it poisons me slowly. Each grudge I keep becomes a chain I drag through the day. And every time I think I am punishing someone else, I am only tightening the grip around my own soul. You invite me to freedom, not captivity. So even when it feels impossible, help me to begin. Forgiveness rarely happens all at once. It unfolds like dawn, one soft light at a time. Let that light rise in me now. God, I also ask for the grace to forgive myself. This may be the hardest task of all. I have said things I cannot unsay, made choices that cannot be undone. Regret becomes a shadow that follows close behind, whispering that I will never be more than my mistakes. But you call me by a new name. You tell me I am not the sum of my errors, but the result of your mercy. Help me to accept that. Let me extend to myself the same compassion I would offer to another who has fallen. Teach me to stop rehearsing shame and start remembering grace. Lord, when I replay moments of guilt in my mind, let your truth interrupt the loop. Whisper that I am forgiven, that repentance has already written my story. Show me how to walk in humility without living in self-punishment. You never intended remorse to become a prison. You intended it to open the door to restoration. And once you forgive, you forget I want to live like that too. Let my memory become an altar of learning, not a museum of shame. Father, I also ask for wisdom in forgiving those who are still capable of harm. You do not call me to return to toxic places or pretend that abuse is love. Forgiveness can coexist with boundaries. It can release anger without removing discernment. Teach me how to bless from a distance when closeness is not safe, and how to wish good for those who once caused pain without reopening wounds that have just begun to heal. Let love protect as much as it pardons. Lord, I bring before you the unseen burden of bitterness, the small irritations, the grudges that hide in everyday life, the coworker who dismissed me, the friend who forgot, the stranger who was cruel. These moments pile up like dust, dulling my joy. Help me to clear them away as they come, to keep my spirit light and unencumbered. Let my first reaction be mercy, not resentment. Let me remember how often I have needed patience myself. You never tire of forgiving me. How can I withhold the same from another? God, let forgiveness flow naturally into compassion. When I release those who hurt me, I make room for empathy. I begin to see the pain that caused theirs, the brokenness behind their actions. This does not excuse what happened, but it helps me understand that hurt people often hurt people. You have shown me that truth through my own life. I have wounded others when I was lost or afraid. So teach me to forgive as one who has also been forgiven. Let my mercy not depend on apology, but on awareness of grace. Father, when resentment tries to return, help me to meet it with prayer. Instead of rehearsing what went wrong, let me bless what could still go right. Instead of wishing for justice in my favor, let me wish for redemption in theirs. When my heart wants to close, let it open again, not for their sake only, but for mine. Forgiveness is the only soil where peace can grow. Do not let me trade my serenity for the illusion of control. Lord, help me to remember that forgiveness is not a feeling. It is a decision repeated daily. Some days it will feel natural, and others it will feel like tearing something from my chest. On those days, hold me steady. Remind me that forgiveness does not erase memory, it transforms it into wisdom. The scar remains, but it no longer stings. The memory stays, but it no longer binds. Let that be my story, a soul marked by grace, not grievance. God, let the power of forgiveness ripple outward from me. Let it touch my home, my work, my friendships. Let it change the way I respond to conflict, how I listen, how I love. Let my peace be contagious, softening the hearts around me. I cannot control the past, but I can control the atmosphere I carry into every new moment. Let it be one of calm, one of release, one of quiet strength. And when I look back one day and realize that the weight is gone, that my heart feels light again, I will know it was you who lifted it. You are the God who heals what time alone cannot, who restores what resentment would destroy, who turns the H of yesterday into the freedom of today. Teach me to live in that freedom now. Walking lightly, loving deeply, forgiving fully, and trusting that every release brings me closer to the peace that only you can give. Father, after learning to forgive and release what lies behind, my heart turns toward what lies ahead, the space of the unknown, that vast and sacred territory where faith must walk before sight. There is both beauty and trembling in uncertainty. It feels like standing at the edge of a sea whose waves are calm one moment and storming the next. Yet I know that even the unknown belongs to you. The path that seems invisible to me is already mapped beneath your gaze. You do not reveal every step because you are teaching me to trust not in the road, but in the one who leads. Lord, I confess that I often crave clarity more than closeness. I want to know outcomes before I begin, to secure answers before I surrender. But you, in your wisdom, give me something far deeper than explanation. You give me presence. You do not hand me a map. You take my hand, and in that touch, uncertainty loses its threat. Because the truth is, safety is not found in knowing what happens next, it is found in knowing you will be there when it does. So teach me today to find rest not in certainty, but in companionship with you. God, I bring before you the questions that still linger in the corners of my heart, the ones I am too wary or afraid to speak aloud. The unanswered prayers, the dreams that seem to stall, the hopes that waver between waiting and letting go. You see the quiet ache beneath my faith, the part of me that wants to believe fully but still trembles. I do not hide that from you. I bring it openly, for even doubt, when brought to you honestly, becomes a doorway to deeper trust. Father, help me to see that the unknown is not punishment. It is invitation. It is the field where dependence grows, where humility deepens, where faith becomes real rather than theoretical. If I could see everything, I would no longer need trust. But you are shaping in me the courage to follow without control, to move even when the destination is hidden, to live like Abram leaving the familiar simply because you said go. Let obedience become my compass when logic cannot guide me. Lord, remind me of the times when I thought the unknown would break me, but it became the very space where I was remade. The illness that led to gratitude, the loss that carved room for new joy, the delay that turned into deliverance. Your wisdom often disguises itself as confusion at first, and only later reveals its perfection. Teach me to wait long enough for your purpose to unfold. Without filling the silence with fear, waiting is not wasted time when my heart stays open to you. God, when I face crossroads, when choices blur and directions contradict, let peace be my indicator. Not the peace of easy answers, but the deep calm that whispers yes when you are near. Guard me from making decisions out of panic. Slow me when I rush. Steady me when I freeze. Let my confidence rest not on how much I know, but on how much I trust your character. You have never failed to turn confusion into clarity when the time was right. Let that memory become my anchor when the waves of worry rise again. Father, I also bring to you my fear of losing control. I try to plan, predict, prepare for every possible outcome, as if anxiety could protect me. But you remind me that control is not peace. It is exhaustion. You are not asking me to stop caring, only to stop carrying what was never mine. Help me to release the illusion that I must hold everything together. The universe does not depend on my strength. It rests in yours. And when I loosen my grip, I find that you never loosen yours. Lord, there are moments when faith feels like stepping into darkness, but you promise that even the darkness is light to you. You see what I cannot. You go before me into the hours I have yet to live. You stand already in my tomorrow, arranging mercies I have not yet met. If I could glimpse even a fraction of what you are preparing, I would not fear this in between. Help me to believe that hidden does not mean absent, and silence does not mean neglect. God, give me the courage to trust even when the outcome may not match my desire. Sometimes faith means accepting that your goodness may look different from my expectations. The doors I beg you to open might remain closed because something better waits beyond my sight. The opportunities I lose may simply redirect me toward the purpose you know I need. Help me to surrender my timeline, to trade impatience for peace. Let your will not just be accepted but embraced, because I know it comes from love, not randomness. Father, I think of the people who are walking their own unknowns. Right now, the parent unsure how to provide, the student afraid of what comes next, the person grieving a change they did not choose. Wrap them in the assurance that they are not walking alone. When fear tells them the path has ended, remind them that you specialize in beginnings disguised as endings. Let hope flicker even in their darkest corners. Hope does not demand proof. It simply believes you are still working when everything else falls silent. Lord, I ask that you make me comfortable with mystery. I do not need to understand everything to remain faithful. Let me resist the temptation to fill unanswered questions with cynicism. Instead, let wonder take root where worry used to live. Wonder reminds me that you are infinite, and I am small but loved by infinity. To trust the unknown is to trust that your story is still unfolding, that each turn has purpose, that even detours are directions in disguise. God, on the days when I feel lost, help me to remember that being lost is often the first step toward being found. When I wander, let me wander toward you. When I doubt, let me doubt toward truth. When I wait, let me wait with hands open, not clenched. Even uncertainty can be sacred when it keeps me close to your side. The unknown may stretch me, but it cannot separate me from you. Father, as I move forward into this day. I will not demand to see the full horizon. I only ask for enough light for the next step and enough peace for the next breath. And I trust that as I walk, step by step, your grace will appear like dawn subtle, steady, unstoppable. Each moment of surrender will become a seed of strength, and each act of faith will weave another thread in the tapestry I cannot yet see. The unknown will not consume me, because you are already there turning what feels uncertain into something quietly sacred, something steadily guided, something undeniably good. Father, after learning to trust the unknown, I find myself standing still in the waiting between what was promised and what has yet to unfold. It is here, in this slow and quiet stretch of time, that patience becomes both my teacher and my test. I used to think patience was passive, a quiet holding pattern until something changed. But I see now that patience is not emptiness. It is endurance shaped by hope. It is the choice to stay faithful while nothing seems to move. The quiet courage to keep believing when answers delay. Waiting with you, Lord, is not wasted time. It is sacred cultivation. Lord, you know how restless I can be. I want results, not refinement. I want completion, not process. Yet you never hurry what you love. The trees still take seasons to bear fruit. The ocean still obeys the rhythm of tides. Even the stars rise in their appointed time. Teach me to mirror that divine rhythm, to move when you move and to rest when you are still. Let me find peace not only in arrival, but in progress. Let patience become the soil where humility grows. God, remind me that patience is not weakness. It is not surrendering my dreams. It is surrendering my timeline. It takes more strength to wait in faith than to rush in fear. When I try to push open doors that are not ready, I only tire myself. But when I wait for your timing, I find that what seemed impossible unfolds with grace. Help me to release my obsession with immediate outcomes and embrace the quiet power of persistence. What you are preparing in me is just as important as what you are preparing for me. Father, I confess that waiting exposes every hidden anxiety. It brings my need for control to the surface, revealing how quickly I question your goodness when time stretches longer than I planned. But you are not late. You are never careless with moments. Every delay holds purpose, even when unseen. When impatience whispers that you have forgotten, remind me of how you waited 230 silent years before ministry, 3 quiet days before resurrection. Waiting has always been part of your divine pattern. Let me learn to see it as a mirror of your own endurance. Lord, there are dreams in my heart that feel suspended desires planted long ago that still have not bloomed. Sometimes I wonder if I misheard you, if my hope was misplaced. But you never plant seeds without intending them to grow. Some just require deeper roots before they can reach for the light. Help me to tend the soil of faith with consistency, to water it with prayer, to trust that hidden growth is still growth. The unseen work beneath the surface is often the most crucial. Let me wait not with despair, but with quiet expectancy. God, I also want to learn patience with people. I lose calmness in small frustrations, the slow driver, the harsh word, the delay in understanding. But you are endlessly patient with me. You listen when I ramble, forgive when I stumble, and wait when I wander. Let that patience I receive become the patience I give. When others move slower than my expectations, remind me that they, too, are works in progress. When tempers flare, give me the grace to pause before reacting. When misunderstanding arises, give me compassion instead of criticism. Father, Teach me to value the quiet middle moments, the ones between beginning and breakthrough. Those spaces are where character is built, where faith matures, where gratitude deepens. Patience transforms waiting from frustration into formation. It is in the slow unfolding that I learn perseverance, and in perseverance I find strength. Do not let me waste these intervals of preparation by wishing them away. Let me meet each day as its own sacred opportunity, not merely as a bridge to somewhere else. Lord, when life feels stagnant, when progress seems invisible, whisper that growth often hides beneath stillness. Just as winter conceals spring within its frost, delay carries destiny within its silence. The seasons of waiting refine my sight, so that when fulfillment comes, I recognize its value. Without patience, blessings turn into burdens too quickly. But with patience, every gift is received with gratitude, not entitlement. Shape me into someone who can hold blessings well by first learning to wait well. God, I know that patience is impossible without trust. When I lose faith in your goodness, I grow restless. But when I remember your faithfulness, I can breathe again. I look back and see how many times I thought you were late, only to discover you were right on time. The closed doors that once frustrated me became protection. The delays that once discouraged me became preparation. Every pause in my story has been purposeful. Let that remembrance steady me again when my spirit grows anxious. Father, I also ask for patience with myself. I am still learning, still unlearning, still becoming. I fall short of who I want to be and grow wary of slow progress. But you are not impatient with my journey. You see every effort, every attempt to change, every quiet surrender that no one else notices. You do not measure my growth by speed, but by sincerity. So let me offer myself grace in the same measure you give it. The pace of holiness is never rushed. It is consistent, honest, and humble. Lord, let patience guard my tongue. When I am tempted to speak too soon, to defend myself before the truth emerges, remind me that silence can be strength. Let patience temper my reactions, shaping words that heal instead of wound. In every interaction, let me carry the calm of one who trusts the outcome to you. This discipline of patience is not passive. It is power harnessed by peace. It turns chaos into clarity and fear into faith. God, when the waiting stretches too long and I begin to grow weary, hold my heart steady. Give me eyes to see the slow miracles that happen. In the meantime, the subtle shifts, the small mercies, the quiet provisions. Let me recognize your hand in the details I overlook. You are never idle, even when I cannot see the movement. You are weaving something intricate and beautiful in time's hidden chambers. Father, as I step into this day, I choose patience not because it is easy, but because it is holy. I choose to walk, not race, to trust, not demand, to breathe, not strive. Every second of waiting can become worship when my heart stays anchored in you. Let patience be the rhythm of my day, steadying every step, calming every storm, shaping me into someone whose peace cannot be hurried, because it is rooted in the timeless heart of a faithful God who never wastes a moment. Father, patience has taught me to wait with peace. Yet now I realize that patience alone is not enough. There are moments when waiting gives way to movement, and movement requires courage. It is one thing to trust you when the path is still, but another to step forward when the road is dark and the unknown looms large. Fear comes quietly, dressed in logic, whispering reasons to stay still. But faith, Lord, is not the absence of fear, it is the choice to walk through fear with your hand in mine. Today, teach me that courage is not loud or reckless, but steady and surrendered. Lord, you know how often fear disguises itself in my life. It hides behind overthinking, hesitation, perfectionism, and control. It pretends to be wisdom when really it is worry. I have called it caution, but you know it as doubt. Fear tells me that I will fail, that I am not enough, that the world is too heavy for me to stand against. Yet you remind me that I am not asked to face the world alone. Courage begins not in the absence of fear, but in the awareness of your presence. You go before me, beside me, within me, and that changes everything. God, when you whisper, "Do not be afraid," it is not a rebuke. It is a reassurance. You do not demand instant bravery. You invite trust. Even the trembling soul can still take a step if it believes that love walks beside it. Remind me of all the times I was afraid before, but made it through the phone call I dreaded, the decision I delayed, the mountain I thought I could not climb. Each of those moments became a testimony of how you met me in weakness and turned fear into strength. Let that memory become the foundation of courage today. Father, fear thrives on what I imagine, but faith thrives on what I remember. When my mind fills with the worst possibilities, let me fill it instead with the truth of who you are. You are not the author of confusion. You are not the voice of panic. You are the stillness that remains when every storm has shouted itself tired. When I cannot control outcomes, I can still control focus. I can fix my eyes not on what terrifies me, but on the one who calms the sea. Lord, there are fears that run deep, the kind that shape decisions and silence dreams. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of loss, the fear that my faith is not strong enough. You know them all, even the ones I cannot name. Today, I place them before you like stones laid on an altar. I will not pretend they are small, but I also will not pretend they are greater than you. Let your love burn through them until only peace remains. Perfect love drives out fear not by force, but by presence. When love grows larger, fear finds no room to stay. God, give me courage not only for the grand moments, but for the ordinary ones, the courage to speak truth when silence feels safer, to stay kind when the world grows harsh, to show up when I feel unseen. Help me to keep my heart soft in a world that rewards hardness. Let courage be the quiet conviction goodness is still worth defending, that faith is still worth living, that love is still worth giving even when it hurts. Father, I ask for courage in uncertainty. There are choices that require boldness, the decision to begin, to end, to forgive, to change. I often wait for confidence before I act, but you remind me that confidence is the result of action, not the prerequisite. When you call, give me the faith to move while afraid, to trust that each obedient step will bring the strength I need for the next. Let fear no longer dictate my timing or my worth. Lord, think of how courage looks different in every life. For some, it is standing on a stage. For others, it is getting out of bed. For some, it is fighting injustice. For others, it is forgiving quietly. You measure courage not by scale, but by surrender. Teach me to celebrate the small acts of bravery that happen in hidden places, the whispered prayer, the gentle word, the patient endurance. Each one is a victory against fear, a declaration that light still wins. God, help me also to encourage courage in others. There are hearts around me that tremble too. Though they hide it well, let me speak words that steady them. Let my calm become contagious. Let my faith become shelter for those who are weary. You never designed courage to be solitary. It grows in community. When I stand firm, I make it easier for someone else to stand too. Let my example, however small, point to the strength that comes only from you. Father, fear often reappears when I feel vulnerable, and vulnerability itself requires courage. To love again after heartbreak, to hope again after disappointment, to believe again after betrayal. You are patient with me when I retreat, but you always call me forward again toward life, toward light, toward trust. You do not promise a world without risk, but you promise a heart fortified by your presence. And that is enough, Lord. When anxiety grips my chest and thoughts spin faster than prayer, slow me with your peace. Breathe stillness into my body. Whisper into my racing mind that courage does not come from adrenaline, but from assurance. You hold the future, and nothing surprises you. The same hands that shape the stars hold the details of my life. Fear loses its voice when I remember whose story I am in. God, I pray for courage that endures, not just reacts. The kind that holds steady through long challenges, that refuses to quit even when the road stretches beyond sight. Let resilience be the echo of my trust. Let perseverance become my worship. When I feel my strength fading, remind me that courage can also mean resting instead of running, trusting instead of forcing, believing instead of seeing. Father, as this new day unfolds, I will not ask that fear disappear completely. Instead, I ask that faith always rises stronger than it. Let me carry courage like a quiet fire within me, a flame that does not boast, yet never goes out. When shadows lengthen, it glows. When winds rise, it bends but does not break. When darkness deepens, it becomes a beacon to others still searching for light. And so, as I step forward into the uncertain, I choose courage, not because I am fearless, but because I am loved, not because I know the outcome, but because I know the one who guides it. Fear may visit, but it will not stay. It will find no home where faith has already built one. And in that truth, I will walk calmly, boldly, faithfully, knowing that every act of courage, however small, becomes a testimony of the God who strengthens trembling hearts and turns every fearful soul into a vessel of quiet, unshakable strength. Father, as courage steadies my heart, I realize that courage alone cannot quiet the noise around me. Life still surges with movement, full of interruptions and demands, and sometimes the noise outside begins to echo inside. Even when my faith feels firm, the constant hum of uncertainty, conflict, and distraction threatens to drown the stillness you invite me into. The world rarely stops long enough for peace to settle. So I come to you, not asking for the absence of chaos, but for the calm that exists in spite of it. Teach me the art of inner quiet, the still water beneath the storm. Lord, you never promised me a life without turbulence. You promised your presence within it. When the disciples panicked in the storm, you did not remove the sea. You spoke to it, and before you calmed the waves, you calmed their hearts. That is what I ask for now. The peace that begins inside, the kind that no circumstance can steal. Let your voice be the anchor that holds when everything else moves. Speak softly into the noise and remind me that you are not absent in the storm. You are asleep in the same boat, unshaken, unafraid. waiting for me to remember who is with me. God. Sometimes chaos looks like business. My schedule overflows, my mind races, and my body forgets to breathe. I fill the silence with tasks, but in doing so, I lose touch with my soul. You did not design me to live constantly alert, constantly rushing. Even creation itself pauses, the tide retreats, the sun sets, the seasons rest. Show me how to build stillness into my days. Let moments of quiet become sacred spaces where I can return to you, where I remember that I am not a machine, but a soul, designed for both purpose and pause. Father, when the chaos comes from conflict, remind me that peace does not always mean agreement. It means alignment with you. Help me to respond rather than react, to listen rather than defend, to speak from compassion rather than pride. When others bring anger or misunderstanding, let me be a channel, not a mirror. Let me carry calm into the room instead of absorbing tension from it. You said, "Blessed are the peacemakers," and I want to live that blessing not by avoiding hard things, but by facing them with grace. Lord, I confess that sometimes the loudest chaos is the one within me. The internal storms, the what-ifs, the should-haves, the fears that play in loops. Silence those restless thoughts with your truth. Let peace guard my mind like a gentle sentinel. When anxiety whispers that everything depends on me, remind me that you hold what I cannot. When guilt revisits what you have already forgiven, teach me to rest in grace rather than rehearse regret. When worry imagines 1,000 futures, pull me back into the single moment where your presence is always waiting. God, help me to remember that peace is not passive, it is powerful. It does not mean avoiding conflict. It means standing in truth with serenity. It is the ability to look at uncertainty and still say, "It is well." Let peace be more than a feeling. Let it be the posture of my heart. Let it be rooted so deeply that when circumstances shake, it bends but does not break. You are the still point in the spinning world, the center that never shifts, the quiet in which everything finds order again. Father, I ask for peace in my home. Let the walls echo with gentleness instead of frustration, laughter instead of blame, silence that restores instead of silence that wounds. Let the atmosphere of my living space carry your presence, the kind of peace that even guests can sense when they walk through the door. And when my home feels unsettled, help me to begin with myself. A peaceful heart creates a peaceful environment. The calm I carry within becomes the calm I offer without. Lord, grant me also peace with time. I chase it, fear it, waste it, try to control it, but time belongs to you. When I rush, remind me that everything eternal unfolds slowly. When I fear that I am behind, remind me that nothing good comes too late under your timing. Teach me to move at the pace of grace, to work diligently, but rest fully, to embrace the rhythm you designed between doing and being. Every second spent with a peaceful heart is already time redeemed. God, peace is often tested when life feels unfair, when injustice rises, and I long to fight with my own strength. But your peace does not make me indifferent. It makes me effective. It clears the noise so I can hear what is right to do and what is simply reaction. In moments of anger or grief, let me pause long enough to let love lead. Let peace guide my actions so that they bring healing rather than harm. Even righteous causes need a peaceful spirit to bear righteous fruit. Father, let your peace guard my nights. When I lie awake replaying the day, whisper that it is safe to release it. The world does not need my vigilance to keep spinning. The one who holds galaxies also holds my rest. Replace my exhaustion with assurance. Let me sleep with a still heart, knowing that even in unconsciousness, I am kept by grace. And when I wake, let the first breath I take be a prayer of peace, shaping the tone for all that follows. Lord, there are people in my life who live in storms, those facing loss, confusion, or conflict that I cannot fix. I bring them to you now, one by one. Surround them with the same calm you give me. Let your peace reach them even where my words cannot. Let them feel, somehow, the steadiness of your love holding them through what they do not understand. Use me, if you will, to be a small reflection of that peace in their chaos. God, help me to guard my peace as sacred. The world will always have noise to offer, distractions to sell, fears to amplify. But peace is the quiet rebellion of faith, the declaration that I am no longer ruled by what happens to me, but by what dwells within me. Let that truth echo in every heartbeat. Even when the storm does not stop, I will not lose my stillness. Father, as I step into this day, I choose peace intentionally. I choose to breathe slowly when the world rushes fast. I choose to listen before I speak. I choose to let go of what I cannot control and hold close what truly matters. Let every movement today be shaped by this quiet strength. Let peace move through my thoughts, my steps, my tone, my touch. And if the world grows loud again, as it always does, let me return to you the source of calm that never fades, the deep stillness beneath all storms, where my heart remembers that even in the midst of chaos, I am safe, I am known, I am held. Father, after learning to find peace even in the storm, I sense something awakening within me again, a soft and steady joy that is not dependent on calm seas or easy days. It rises quietly, not in laughter alone, but in gratitude for simply being alive under your light. There was a time when joy felt like a visitor who came only in seasons of blessing. But now I understand that true joy is a companion who stays even when sorrow sits beside it. It is not loud or fleeting, is deep and steady, born from knowing you are near. Lord, so often the world confuses joy with happiness. Happiness changes with circumstance, but joy endures through them. Happiness visits when things align. Joy remains when everything falls apart. It is the strength that whispers beneath tears, the hope that hums beneath pain. I have tasted that joy before, sometimes in a sunrise after a sleepless night, sometimes in forgiveness offered, sometimes in peace that came for no reason other than your presence. Help me, Lord, to live aware of that joy, always not to chase it, but to cultivate it like a garden inside my soul. God, there are days when joy feels buried under the weight of routine. I move through lists, meetings, conversations, responsibilities, and somewhere between them, the wonder fades, the colors dull, the moments blur, and I forget the miracle of breath, of being loved, of belonging to you. But you remind me that joy is not found in extraordinary moments. It is hidden in the ordinary ones, in the sound of laughter, in the warmth of sunlight, in the kindness of a stranger, in the quiet confidence that every small act still matters. Open my eyes to notice again. Father, I confess that I have sometimes treated joy as a reward instead of a gift. I waited for everything to be fixed before allowing myself to feel light. But joy is not the result of resolution. It is the resistance to despair. It is the decision to sing in the shadow, to smile in the middle of uncertainty, to believe that goodness is still greater than grief. You are not calling me to ignore pain, but to let joy grow alongside it. Like wildflowers through cracks, joy blooms in unexpected places, reminding me that life cannot be extinguished where love still breathes. Lord, let this joy be more than emotion, let it be endurance. Let it lift my spirit when fatigue weighs heavy. Let it flow through my words so that others may feel it too. Let my presence bring lightness to heavy rooms, laughter to weary hearts. Teach me that joy shared multiplies, that it goes across souls like ripples in still water. Make me a vessel of your gladness in a world that forgets how to smile. God, I ask for the courage to rejoice even when I do not yet see the reason. When prayers remain unanswered, when healing delays, when change seems far, let gratitude still flow. Joy is not denial, it is defiance. It says, I will praise anyway. When the night feels long, joy is the candle that refuses to go out. Help me keep that flame burning, even when winds of worry blow strong. Father, let me learn the discipline of delight, to take pleasure in what is pure and simple, to laugh freely, to celebrate the progress I once overlooked. Let joy sanctify even my smallest routines, the making of coffee, the sound of rain, the kindness of being listened to. Let every moment become an altar where I thank you for existing within it. This is how I will live in worship, not just through songs or prayers, but through wonder renewed each morning. Lord, I know joy cannot grow where bitterness stays. If my heart has held grudges too long, uproot them gently. If I have carried disappointment until it hardened, soften me again. Teach me that joy and resentment cannot share the same space. Where I have clung to sorrow as proof of caring, remind me that joy is also holy. It honors what was lost by choosing to live fully still. Let me grieve when needed, but not forget to laugh when laughter comes. God, let me not confuse joy with escape. Joy does not run from reality, it redeems it. It enters the pain and refuses to let it be the end of the story. It turns ashes into art, mourning into movement, despair into dance. The world may call that naive, but you call it faith. Let my joy be the quiet protest of trust, the declaration that light always returns, that love never leaves, that hope is never wasted. Father, sometimes joy comes disguised as rest. It arrives not in excitement, but in exhale, the deep breath after surrender, the relief of knowing I am held. Help me to rest in joy, not rush past it. Let it fill the spaces patience has prepared, courage has strengthened, and peace has restored. This is the joy that cannot be shaken, because it does not come from circumstance, but from connection. It flows from the unbreakable bond between the created and the Creator. Lord, let joy be my testimony. When others see my life, let them sense not perfection but peace, not ease but endurance, not the absence of pain but the presence of purpose. Let my laughter become an act of worship, my gratitude a form of strength. Let my daily living sing this truth, that even here, even now, even through everything, joy is possible. God, as I walk through this day, let joy be both armor and invitation, armor against cynicism, despair, and weariness, invitation for others to believe again in the goodness still alive in this world. Let me meet today with open hands and a bright heart, ready to find you in every corner of it. And when night returns and I look back, let me find evidence of joy scattered through the hours, small mercies I almost missed, gentle smiles that reminded me I am not alone, quiet victories that whispered of your faithfulness. Let that realization fill me with renewed gratitude for the sacred rhythm of being alive, breathing, trusting, rejoicing. For true joy, the kind that stays, is not borrowed from the world but born from you, the eternal source of gladness that turns every heartbeat into a song of grace. Father, as joy renews my heart and fills me with gratitude, I feel you guiding me toward something greater, toward the outward expression of that joy through compassion. For what is peace or courage or joy if it does not extend beyond myself? Every blessing you have given was never meant to end in me. It was meant to flow through me, reaching others who still walk in pain, fear, or loneliness. Teach me, Lord, to see through eyes of mercy, to move through the world as one who carries your tenderness into every encounter. Lord, compassion begins in seeing, not just looking, but truly seeing the tired cashier hiding exhaustion behind a smile, the friend who laughs loudly to cover quiet sorrow, the stranger who seems distant but carries a story too heavy to share. Open my eyes to those who live in the shadows of invisibility. So often, I move too quickly, absorbed by my own worries, forgetting that someone nearby is praying for the very kindness I am capable of giving. Let my awareness slow me down long enough to notice. And noticing, let me act. God, teach me that compassion is not pity. It is participation. It is stepping into another's burden long enough to remind them they are not alone. It is listening without fixing, holding without rushing, understanding without judgment. You never loved from a distance. You entered the mess, the ordinary human sorrow, and called it holy. Let me love like that, not in theory, but in touch, in presence, in the quiet dignity of simply showing up. Father, sometimes compassion requires courage, because love that costs nothing changes little. The world often hardens itself in defense, protecting comfort rather than extending care. But you call me to risk softness in a hard world, to choose gentleness where cynicism seems easier, to offer forgiveness where bitterness feels justified. Let compassion become my rebellion against indifference. When anger rises in the world, let kindness be my protest. When cruelty becomes common, let empathy be my resistance. Lord, I confess that sometimes compassion feels too heavy. The needs around me seem endless, and my strength feels small. But you remind me that I am not asked to save the world. I am asked to serve faithfully in the part of it that you place in my hands. The loaves and fishes you gave were never enough by human measure, yet they became abundance when blessed. So take my small compassion, my words, my time, my presence, and multiply them in ways I may never see. Let love ripple farther than I can reach. God, help me to extend compassion not only outward but inward. I cannot pour from an empty vessel. When I am harsh with myself, my mercy for others runs dry. Teach me to tend to my own heart with gentleness, not indulgence but care. Let rest be part of compassion, silence part of service, healing part of holiness. The same patience I offer to others, help me to offer to myself. For when I love from fullness, not depletion, my love becomes joy instead of obligation. Father, I ask for compassion that bridges divisions. The world fractures itself into sides and labels, but you never saw categories, only children. Teach me to listen to those who disagree with me, not to argue, but to understand. Let empathy be stronger than opinion. Let love reach where logic cannot. So often, change begins not with convincing, but with compassion that reminds another soul they still belong. Let my words, my tone, my posture reflect the truth that every human being bears your image. Lord, let my compassion be creative. Inspire me to bring light in ways both simple and unexpected. A message sent, a meal shared, a quiet presence beside someone grieving, none of it wasted when done with love. The smallest kindness can alter the course of a weary day. Even a single smile can be the thread that keeps another from unraveling. Teach me to believe again in the holy power of small things. Love is rarely loud, but it always leaves a trace. God, when I grow weary of caring, when empathy feels like exposure and compassion starts to ache, remind me that you, too, felt that ache. You wept with the broken, carried the cross for the ungrateful, forgave those who wounded you. Compassion is not easy because it is divine. It asks us to love beyond what is comfortable, but you strengthen every heart willing to try. Refill me, Lord, when I run dry. Remind me that mercy is not a feeling I must force, but a fruit that grows from abiding in you. Father, let compassion guide how I use my voice. In a world loud with judgment, let my words be soft yet strong, truthful yet kind. When I speak correction, let it be out of care, not pride. When I speak hope, let it be steady, not shallow. Let everything I say be seasoned with grace the kind that restores rather than wounds. Sometimes silence itself is compassion. Teach me to know when to speak and when to simply hold space for another as pain. Lord, help me to bring compassion into the unseen spaces, the quick encounters that pass without thought. The person delivering my mail, the neighbor I barely greet, the stranger who looks away too soon. Every soul I meet carries a world inside them. Let me remember that kindness to one is kindness to you. You said, "Whatever you do for the least of these, you do for me." Let that truth shape how I walk through every hour of this day. God, compassion also means forgiving those who will never ask for it. Sometimes mercy must be offered to hearts that remain closed. Teach me to release even when reconciliation does not follow. Compassion frees me from bitterness, just as it frees others from shame. Let my love be unconditional, not because the world deserves it, but because you gave it first. Father, as this day unfolds, let compassion move through me like quiet light warming, guiding, healing. Let it transform my interactions, my thoughts, my choices. Let it turn inconvenience into opportunity, interruption into invitation, and fatigue into offering. When I am tempted to retreat into self-preservation, remind me that the safest place for my heart is always in the act of giving. For love, once released, never diminishes, it multiplies. And so I begin this day ready to see as you see, to feel as you feel, to love as you love. Let compassion become not just something I practice, but something I am steady, gentle, courageous, and alive with grace. For when love moves through me unhindered, the world around me softens, and in that softness, I glimpse again the reflection of the God whose mercy never runs dry. Father, as compassion deepens within me, I begin to see that love is never meant to stay still. It always moves outward, always finds direction, always calls me into purpose. Compassion without action is only sentiment, but compassion joined with purpose becomes transformation. You have placed a calling within every heart, a unique melody meant to harmonize with yours. Mine may be quiet, yet it is no less holy. Help me to walk in that purpose today, to live not just with intention, but with obedience. Lord, sometimes I imagine purpose as a single grand moment, a divine revelation where everything becomes clear. But you remind me that purpose is rarely revealed all at once. It unfolds gradually, hidden inside the small decisions of faithfulness. It is not only found in great works or public victories, but in the humble consistency of love, the smile offered to a stranger, the forgiveness given quietly, the faithfulness that endures without applause. Teach me to see every ordinary day as sacred ground, where divine purpose takes shape in unseen ways. God, I know that purpose begins not with ambition, but with surrender. I cannot force my way into destiny. I can only follow. You lead through stillness as much as through motion. Help me to listen more than I strive, to discern more than I demand. When I ask, "What should I do with my life?" remind me that the better question is, "Who am I becoming as I walk with you?" The right actions flow from a right heart, and the right heart is one that stays yielded. Let my doing always arise from being rooted in you, being faithful in small things, being available when you call. Father, there are moments when I doubt my significance. The world measures impact by visibility, by scale, by recognition, but you measure it by faithfulness. The quiet mother shaping hearts in her home, the teacher sowing encouragement into weary souls, the worker who serves with integrity when no one notices, all walk in purpose more powerfully than they know. Let me remember that divine purpose is not about standing out, but about standing firm. It is not about being known by many, but about being known by you. Lord, sometimes I resist purpose because it requires change. I hold tightly to comfort zones and familiar paths, yet purpose often begins where comfort ends. You never called me to safety. You called me to significance. Give me courage to say yes when you whisper, even if I cannot see the full picture. Remind me that you never ask me to do what you have not already equipped me for. Every gift, every experience, every scar has shaped me for something meaningful. Nothing is wasted in your economy of grace. God, show me how to weave purpose into everything I touch. Let my work reflect integrity, my relationships reflect kindness, my choices reflect hope. Let my words be tools of healing, my presence a space of calm, my time an offering of service. Purpose is not a single calling, it is a way of being. Let me carry your character into every room I enter, whether I lead or follow, speak or stay silent, succeed or fail. Let it all point back to you. Father, when I compare my journey to another's, remind me that purpose cannot be copied. What you ask of me is uniquely mine, shaped by the rhythm of my life and the lessons I have learned. Comparison only distracts. Obedience fulfills. I do not need to run another's race, only to stay faithful in my own, even when the path feels slower. Remind me that delay is not denial. The seed of purpose often grows underground long before it blooms. My task is not to force growth, but to nurture it patiently in faith. Lord, when my calling feels heavy, help me to remember that purpose is not meant to be carried alone. You walk with me through every challenge, providing strength that rises quietly within. When fatigue threatens to dull my vision, refill me with your spirit. Let me not mistake exhaustion for failure. Even rest can be an act of purpose when is done in trust. Every breath, every pause, every quiet yes contributes to the greater story you are writing through my life. God, there will be seasons when purpose demands endurance. Some callings lead through valleys before they reach the hilltops. In those times, help me to keep walking even when progress feels invisible. Purpose often reveals itself in hindsight, not foresight. Teach me to walk by faith, not by sight, to trust that each step matters, even the hesitant ones. Let me find strength in knowing that I am not defined by speed, but by steadfastness. Father, Help me to recognize that purpose is not only about doing but also about becoming a vessel for your love, a reflection of your mercy, a channel of your peace. Shape my inner life so that my outer life aligns with it. If my work grows but my character shrinks, then I have missed the point. True purpose transforms me as much as it transforms the world around me. Let me be more concerned with depth than display, with authenticity more than achievement. Lord, when I face moments of uncertainty about what to do next, remind me that purpose is often revealed in motion. I may not see the next mile, but you will guide the next step. And when fear whispers that I might choose wrong, remind me that you are not a God who abandons. You are a God who redirects. Even detours can lead to destiny when I keep my heart open. Nothing surrendered to you is ever wasted. God, I ask that you keep me from the distraction of endless striving. The world tells me I must always do more, be more, achieve more. But you tell me that purpose is not performance, it is partnership. You are not looking for perfection, but for presence. You do not demand productivity. You desire alignment. Let me live today with holy simplicity. Purpose in presence itself and listening well. Loving deeply and walking humbly. Father, let me carry this awareness into every hour ahead, that my life, however ordinary it seems, is sacred ground. Every encounter, every task, every breath is part of a divine choreography. Even when I cannot trace your hand, I can trust your heart. My calling is not to make life grand, but to make it faithful, not to chase significance, but to embody grace. And as I move through this day, let purpose unfold naturally, quietly, like the dawn spreading across the horizon. No fanfare, no rush, just light expanding where darkness once lingered. Let my steps align with your rhythm, my heart beat in tune with your will. And when this day ends, may I look back not at what I have achieved, but at how I have walked with clarity, with love, and with a steady sense that I am exactly where you need me to be, walking gently and fully in the purpose you designed for me before the first light ever touched the earth. Father, as I continue walking in the purpose you have designed for me, I realize how deeply gratitude sustains the soul that serves. Purpose without gratitude becomes performance, but purpose held with thanksgiving becomes worship. Gratitude is what turns ordinary duty into delight, what keeps the heart soft while the world hardens. It reminds me that even in difficulty, there are still reasons to rejoice. So today, Lord, teach me to be grateful in every season, when blessings overflow and when blessings hide, when the road feels smooth and when it wends through shadow. Lord, gratitude is not only a response to good days. It is the discipline that transforms every day into good. It is the lens through which I learn to see you in everything. When I pause long enough to count your mercies, even the smallest ones, I discover they were never small at all. The breath in my lungs, the sunlight through my window, the sound of laughter, the quiet strength to face one more hour. Each is a thread of grace woven into the fabric of my life. Let me never take these daily miracles for granted. God, sometimes gratitude feels distant when pain speaks louder. In those moments, help me to remember that thanksgiving is not denial, it is defiance. It is choosing to trust your goodness, even when I cannot trace it. When life closes doors and prayers seem unanswered, remind me that gratitude is the key that keeps bitterness from locking my heart. It is not pretending all is well, but proclaiming that you are still faithful, even when all is not well. Thankfulness is the bridge between what hurts and what heals. the quiet declaration that love remains stronger than loss. Father, I thank you not only for what has gone right, but also for what has gone differently than I planned. There were prayers you did not answer the way I expected, paths you redirected, dreams you reshaped. Only now do I see that every detour carried purpose, every delay refined character. Gratitude helps me look back not with regret, but with recognition, seeing how you were working, even in the waiting, even in the breaking. The steps I once questioned are the very ones that brought me here. Lord, let me also practice gratitude for people, the ones who have walked beside me and those who have challenged me. Both have shaped me in ways I could not have shaped myself. For those who have loved me well, I thank you for their gentleness and grace. For those who have wounded me, I thank you for the lessons they unknowingly taught me about forgiveness and endurance. Gratitude turns resentment into release. It allows me to bless what once hurt, and in doing so, I am freed. God, when I forget to be grateful, remind me that thanksgiving restores perspective. It shifts my gaze from what is missing to what remains, from what is fleeting to what is eternal. Gratitude keeps me grounded when success tempts me to pride and lifts when failure tempts me to despair. It reminds me that I am never self-made, but always grace-made. Every achievement, every ability, every opportunity flows from your hand. Even the capacity to rise after falling is a gift worth thanking you for. Father, I want to carry gratitude not just in words, but in posture. Let it shape how I move through the world, how I speak, how I give, how I respond. A grateful heart naturally becomes generous because it knows abundance does not come from possession, but from presence. Teach me to live with open hands, ready to share what I have, knowing that everything multiplied through love becomes endless. Gratitude multiplies joy the same way sunlight multiplies color. It reveals what was already there but unseen. Lord, let my gratitude reach beyond comfort into compassion. It is easy to thank you when my own needs are met, but true gratitude looks outward. When I see someone in need, let my thankfulness become action. Let me remember that I am blessed not just to have, but to give. Gratitude without generosity is incomplete. Help me to turn appreciation into participation, to lift others the way you have lifted me, to remind them through kindness that grace is still alive in the world. God, there are seasons when gratitude must be chosen daily, even hourly, when the clouds linger and prayers feel unanswered, when exhaustion sits heavy. Let me practice thanks until it becomes instinct again. Gratitude is not an emotion to wait for, it is a muscle to strengthen. Each thank you spoken in faith builds endurance. Each small recognition of goodness pushes back against despair. And slowly, the heart learns to see light again, even through tears. Father, thank you for teaching me that gratitude connects me to eternity. Every expression of thanks is a thread tying heaven to earth. It reminds me that all I have comes from you, and all I give returns to you. Gratitude sanctifies time itself. It slows the rush, deepens awareness, anchors the soul. When I pause to thank you, I step outside of fear and into the rhythm of grace. The world spins, but I remain still within it, grounded in gratitude. Lord, when joy overflows, let gratitude be my song. When challenges arise, let gratitude be my anchor. Let thanksgiving be not occasional but continual, the quiet current beneath every thought. Even as I work, even as I rest, let thankfulness pulse through me like breath, effortless, constant, alive. Let others feel it in my tone, see it in my patience, sense it in my peace. Gratitude does not need to be spoken to be heard. It radiates through presence itself. God, thank you for the unseen blessings, the protections never noticed, the answered prayers I mistook for coincidence, the moments you carried me when I thought I stood alone. Thank you for the new mercies that arrive quietly each morning, for the second chances disguised as ordinary days, for the hope that rises stubbornly even after long nights. Everything good, everything lasting, begins with your generosity. Let my gratitude never grow old in acknowledging that. Father, as I move through this day, let gratitude accompany every step. When I face ease, let me not forget grace. When I face hardship, let me not forget purpose. When my hands are full, remind me to lift them. When they are empty, remind me that even emptiness can hold blessing if I fill it with praise. Teach me to see every season as worthy of thanks, the blooming and the pruning, the building and the resting. And as daylight unfolds, let gratitude weave itself into every breath I take, quiet but constant, humble but strong. Let it steady my pace, soften my heart, and remind me that life itself is a gift, renewed with every sunrise. Whatever today holds, let me meet it with eyes open to wonder, hands open to give, and a heart open to thank. For a life lived in gratitude is already a prayer, already a song, already a reflection of the love that sustains everything and never runs dry. Father, as this long journey of prayer draws near its quiet close, I sense that nothing truly ends. In you everything simply transforms. What began in longing has ripened into peace. What started as searching has become seeing. Through each breath, each word, each whisper, you have drawn me closer, reshaping my heart from the inside out. I am no longer the same as when I began. Something in me has softened. Something has awakened. It is as if every prayer I have spoken has built a home within me, a sacred space where your presence gently abides. Lord, you have walked with me through valleys of fear and summits of faith, through the shadow of doubt and the light of trust. You have taught me that prayer is not an escape from life, but an entrance into it. It does not lift me out of the world. It roots me deeper within it, alive, attentive, and anchored in love. You have shown me that holiness is not distant. It is woven into the smallest gestures of kindness, the quiet strength to forgive, the courage to hope again when hope feels fragile. In every chapter, you have whispered, "I am here." And I have learned that those words are enough. God, I thank you for the days when faith came easily, and even more for the days when it did not, when I prayed through weariness, through silence, through the weight of unanswered questions. Those were the moments you were closest, even when hidden. I see now that faith grows not in perfection, but in persistence. It is born from the steady rhythm of returning to trust, to gratitude, to surrender. Every time I came back to you, no matter how faltering, you were already waiting, patient as sunrise. Father, as I look back on this sacred journey, I realize it has never truly been about the words themselves, but about the transformation they invited. Each prayer was a doorway to deeper awareness, a quiet shaping of my soul into something gentler, braver, freer. I no longer pray to reach you as if you were far away. I pray to remember that you have always been within and around me. You are in the laughter that breaks tension, the silence that soothes anxiety, the act of compassion that bridges distance. Every breath that enters and leaves my lungs is already a prayer of belonging. Lord, you remind me that prayer does not end when the words stop. It continues in the way I live, in how I love, in the posture of my heart as I move through the world. Prayer becomes the tone of my thoughts, the patience in my reactions, the tenderness in my presence. It flows into work, relationships, and quiet moments alike. It becomes less of a ritual and more of a rhythm, steady, unbroken, alive. I no longer have to search for sacred ground, for every step taken with awareness of you is already holy. God, let this awareness follow me into tomorrow. Let it teach me to greet the ordinary with reverence. Let me see the divine in every face I meet. Hear it in every sound of life around me, the laughter of children, the hum of morning, the rustle of wind through leaves. Let me live awake, alive to wonder, alert to grace. For faith is not a single moment of revelation. It is the daily practice of noticing, the quiet discipline of awe. Father, I thank you for those who have walked this journey. Beside me, the unseen community of hearts who have prayed these words in their own quiet spaces, each carrying hopes, fears, and dreams known only to you. Together, we have built something invisible yet real, a fellowship of faith that transcends distance. Every voice lifted, every tear shed, every silent pause has woven us together into something sacred. For wherever two or more hearts seek you sincerely, there you are, listening, breathing, blessing. Lord, as this prayer draws to its soft close, I do not ask for grand miracles, only for daily renewal. Let me wake each morning with gratitude before worry, compassion before complaint, trust before fear. Let me continue this conversation not as a ritual, but as relationship. Let my words flow into actions that mirror love, my thoughts grow into seeds of kindness, my life become an offering of quiet light. God, I thank you for the strength to endure, the courage to believe, and the grace to begin again. Through every season, joy and sorrow, certainty and confusion, you remain the same steady heartbeat beneath it all. The more I walk with you, the more I realize that prayer is less about asking, and more about aligning, less about changing your will, and more about being changed by your presence. Father, I release every anxiety into your care, every burden into your keeping, every hope into your timing. I no longer need to rush the unfolding of life. I only need to remain rooted in trust. Whatever comes, I choose to meet it with openness. For even in uncertainty, there is beauty. Even in waiting, there is growth. Even in endings, there is the quiet promise of beginnings. And now, as this long prayer finds its final breath, I feel peace descending gently, not as a conclusion, but as continuation. Like morning mist lifting from a valley, like the hush before dawn, there is renewal in the air. The world outside begins to stir, the light gathering softly along the horizon. The wind carrying whispers of promise through the trees. It feels like grace itself moving, invisible but real, reminding me that life, in all its fragility and wonder, is prayer made visible. Thank you, dear friend, for walking this journey to its quiet shore, for listening, reflecting, and allowing your heart to meet mine in this sacred space. May the peace we found here linger in you long after the words fade. If this prayer has touched something within you, I invite you to share your thoughts, your hopes, or your own prayers below, so that together we may continue weaving this circle of faith. And as you step back into your day, Remember, you are part of something luminous, something eternal. Keep this flame alive. Subscribe, share, and join in this unfolding journey of spirit. Let us meet again each morning in the soft light of faith, in the gentle breath of gratitude, in the quiet rhythm of prayer that never truly ends, but rises again like dawn breaking endlessly over the world.